Are we good to proceed? Are we good to proceed? Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Council meeting. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mayor Julia Johnson, and this is my last meeting for my stint as mayor. So thank you for being here and kind of celebrating this with me and going through the paces. I think it'll be a good meeting. Will you please stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Good evening, everyone. I'll go through the roll call. Councilman Lavaca.
Present.
Councilman Loy.
Here.
Councilman Cock.
Here.
Councilwoman Kesty.
Present.
Councilman Henderson.
Here.
And I see online, we have Councilwoman Pedersen. Is she able to respond?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. Whatever you guys figured out over there, thank you for doing that. All right. Okay, moving on. So we have a great agenda tonight, so let's begin. I am looking for an approval to item D, approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilman Lavaca, seconded by Councilman Cock. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E, the consent agenda, 1 through 5. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilwoman Kesty, seconded by Councilman Henderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. So tonight I'm excited about this. We have 3 different groups within the city of Sedro-Woolley that truly need to be honored, and I am going to lead us through that now. I'll talk as we go through, and you'll see why it's so important that we give these individuals recognition. So, Stiles and Lair. Okay. And I'm going to have, if you would, I apologize. The mic over there is iffy, and you have to talk directly into it, so sometimes you can't hear. But here we would be able to hear. So for those of you who know, this is Brock Stiles and Tim Lair, and they are Stiles and Lair Law Firm. And the Stiles Law Firm, if you haven't heard, is celebrating 75 years of business and service to our community this year. 75 years. And it began in 1951 with his father, Bill, who established the law firm. And Brock was so great to write this out for me. And then when Brian joined, it was Stiles and Stiles, and when Brock came on, it was Stiles and Stiles and Stiles. And Bill retired, and then Brian went on to become a judge in the county, and so a district judge, correct?
Superior Court.
Superior Court. There you are. Okay, Superior Court, and Brock stayed on, and they brought on Tim. And I have to say, the Stiles family, for as long as I've known them, and I've known them all my life, we were practically neighbors. We went to the same church and school together. We grew up together. We're just a few years apart. I'd like to say I'm younger, but I'm not. But they have a mentality of family service. So they operate their business with a family mentality. They do have family that works there, but then all the staff that they have come on, they're like family as well. And you know, that's something that is really rare, but you're seeing it in 3 different generations. So Brock, as you probably know, has been, I believe you were also a attorney for concrete, correct? Mm-hmm. as well as coming on after his brother left here as being a municipal judge. Brock came on, and he is now our city judge, and he has not only regular court that he does, but he also has community court, which is absolutely amazing. He has his daughter that works there, his wife works there, my son works there. And staying true to their philosophy, they brought on Tim, who also is very much family-oriented. He has a wonderful family that's very engaged in the community. They've done public service, as has Tim. And, Brock he's part of many different leaderships. One of them is in Rotary. He is the head of the chair for the Lager Rodeo race. So how come I'm not thinking of it, Brock?
Just the Great Sedro-Woolley Foot Race.
Well, why couldn't I think of that? So yes, the Great Sedro-Woolley Foot Race. And Tim is somebody who not only volunteers within the community and spends a lot of time with different organizations, he also does a lot of pro bono work, which is much needed within the community. So this is a family. This is not just an office where people come together 5 days a week and work. This is an office where they really care about one another. And they've been very supportive of Eric, who sat for the bar. They worked with him as he went through those 3.5, 4 years of getting through all the material, which was not easy while he was working full time. And that, you don't do that unless you have the support of people who really care about who you are and seeing you succeed. So all this, which is really not saying everything as to what these two families have actually given to the community. I really believed that we have celebrated other businesses that have, been around for 50 years or 75 years or 100 years. We really needed to acknowledge the Stiles and Lair law firm because they are continuing to give within our community. I have for you a plaque, and I will give it to you. And because I can't read it very well, I printed it out, and it says Stiles and Lair Inc., PS, 75 years of service to the community, 1951 to 2026, honoring 75 years of excellence, integrity, and distinguished service to the citizens of Sedro-Woolley and surrounding communities. Your commitment and generosity have shaped lives, influenced our community, and created a legacy that is inspirational. We extend our deepest gratitude for your continued commitment to our city. Mayor Julia Johnson, the City Council, and the citizens of Sedro-Woolley. So if you could help me welcome. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. You can. Twice now, they've been featured. This is the second year that they have been featured in the Faces of Skagit County. Page 36, you ought to read it. It's really quite good. So, I don't know. Did you guys have one of these? Brock, did you want to say anything, or Tim?
I'll let Brock if he wants to, sure.
Okay.
Well, I first have to just dispel any thoughts that you might have. I have not been practicing all 75 years, okay? Just want to put that to rest. But, it all goes back to my parents, coming back to Sedro-Woolley. Dad was born here in 1924, and after the war and everything, Mom and Dad got married and came back to Sedro-Woolley to establish this, a practice here in this great city. And, he had chances to go down to Seattle and become a member of a big law firm and stuff like that. But he always said that the quality of life in Sedro-Woolley far outweighed any type of, things that he could do down in Seattle. So I'm just happy to be a part of this, to continue the 75 years. We got Sherry Paulson, Eric Johnson, my wife Kathy, my daughter Sarah, and then Tim here. And I just want to reiterate that, none of this happens without a really great staff, and this is just part of the ones right here. And so I appreciate the recognition for the office being here for 75 years, and I think we've got a plan to be here a lot longer than that. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the second group that we would like to honor tonight, and this is a strong yes from the council. They really wanted to see this happen, so we're making this happen, and it's well-deserved. If I could have Jim Taylor and the Skagit Trail Builders come forward. Did Linda Tyler make it in at all? Is Linda Tyler here from the port? Okay, I'll do that for her as well. So maybe I'll just pick this up. So, you know, we have been very blessed, very fortunate in that Skagit Trail Builders has come in and they have done a tremendous amount of work up at the Swift Center. How many of you have actually walked up there on the trails? Yeah, I figured almost every hand would go up. So that is a gift. That is actually a gift to those of us who live here in Sedro-Woolley, and more than that, to those who come to Sedro-Woolley and want to explore the Swift Center, and now the park, Olmsted Park, which we just did the ribbon cutting on Friday, and Jim was there, and I think some of the crew was there, as I recall. And we want to thank you for the trail that you are putting in there to connect with all the others so that the park will be like an extension of the Swift Center, which is actually what we intended when we built it. But, you know, the bridges that you two have, or you two, all of you have built, my word, I mean, you're working with volunteers. And I know you said the one thing that you like to do is make sure that everybody has fun. That's really important to you, which is probably why you have volunteers who come back time and time again. But they do a beautiful job of drawing them in. They also have a lot of support here from within the community itself. So I'm happy to see that United General is actually represented here. So thank you very much for being here. And I don't see the county. Is the county usually?
County, nobody here right now, but they're part of it.
That's right, and then the Port of Skagit. All of you have just made this a wonderful thing. You've actually connected the Veterans Park to the Swift Center. That was a feat in and of itself, I'm sure. But, you know, what you have done is just extraordinary. I don't even really have words to say everything that we have experienced enjoying the trails up there. I've actually ran into people there who, we all live in Sedro-Woolley. I haven't seen them in years, but I see them up on the trail, so that's pretty cool that we're all doing that. So first I want to present to you, so this is the Port of Skagit. This is the Song Sparrow Bridge, correct? So they just dedicated this back in September. Is it the second or third bridge?
That'd be second, wouldn't it? Third, that'd be third, that'd be the third, yeah.
All right. So I know I've been to two of them, two of the dedications. So this is the Song Sparrow Bridge, which is absolutely beautiful. And Linda Tyler of the Port of Skagit snapped this picture, and the Port of Skagit actually framed this, and this is from them to all of you, so that you have this. It's a beautiful picture of those that were there, and a great celebration. And then also, we are presenting you with a plaque. I'll give this to you, Jim.
Thank you.
Or JT. Yep. So, and it says, Skagit Trail Builders, thank you for creating an incredible trail system. Your work gives our community a place to explore, connect, and enjoy the outdoors for generations to come. With much gratitude, Mayor Julia Johnson and the City Council and the citizens of Sedro-Woolley. So thank you. Did you get the pictures? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Dottie Chandler. Bonnie and Rose joining you, yes, yes?
I'm having the some of the board members that are here join me.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here. Oh my gosh, I mean, what is the biggest and grandest celebration that we actually do here in Sedro-Woolley? It's the Lager Rodeo, right? And you're looking at a small group of people who make big magic happen year after year after year. So when I found out that this was Dottie's last year when she told me she was retiring, first my heart dropped because I thought, oh no, who's going to continue on and keep doing that? And, but it sounds like you have somebody in place. But I thought we can't let her go without acknowledging the last 15 years. She's been on the board for 15 years. She has been the president of the Lager Rodeo committee for 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's just done a remarkable job. I don't know if you've ever thought about what all goes into it. I think we just kind of assume that it's an easy thing to do, but we have met with them a couple different times because she does a great job of meeting with the city to make sure that fire, police, our public works, the streets, the parks, that we're all on the same page. So that we're all coordinating, which is actually what makes the success and the magic happens, is doing that. Well, Dottie and her team do that. And Dottie is very, very good at it. She gets the insurance, she gets the permits, things that nobody really thinks about. She also puts together the applications, gathers the applications for the parades. She invites wood carvers to come in really from all over the world. We've had them come in from all over the world. And I've had the distinct honor and pleasure of meeting them for several years because Dottie and her board do dinner for them the night before everything kicks off. So on top of everything else, she makes them feel gracious. They do T-shirts for them. They do T-shirts for us to purchase. But she and her team, I'm trying to think here, help me out. So they do the log carving, the carnival. You arrange the carnival. You do the application for the parade, the fireworks, which is the grand finale. It's what makes it perfect.
Street dance.
Street dance.
Beard contest, the pie eating contest, the logging show that we've moved up to Janicki Field. Kiddies parade.
And the kiddies parade, but the logging show, now that's high schoolers, correct?
It was.
Okay.
This year we're trying to incorporate more because since the school district doesn't have their logging part anymore in the FFA,
Okay.
it's kind of dropped.
Okay.
So we're trying to get more people involved in that part.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, just an extraordinary amount of work. And they take all year to do it. They dedicate their lives so that you and I can thoroughly enjoy Lager Rodeo. And not just you and I, but how many thousands of people do we bring in every year? It's just extraordinary. And so, and we have it because Dottie and her team make it happen. So we also have a plaque for you as well. Let me give this to you. So I give it to, so it's for Dottie, the Lager Rodeo President, 2016 to 26, and it says, "Thank you for 15 years of service, vision, and steadfast leadership. Your commitment has shaped our history, strengthened our community, and in ways that will be remembered for generations to come." So with much gratitude, Julia Johnson and everybody else. So. And this is going to be the new Lager Rodeo president, right? Yes. Okay. So. So when you are enjoying the Lager Rodeo events, think of these few people up here who have made all of that happen for all of us. So.
It's been a pleasure doing this. At first, I started out as a volunteer because of my husband. He enjoyed doing the wood carving and stuff, and that's how he got me involved. And then When Jeannie decided to step down, they needed a president, so I decided to step up. And it's been enjoyable most of the time, and there's been problems along the way every year. Something's going on, you know, you never know. But if it's not just me that does this, I want to thank my incredible board for all the support and the hard work that they've helped put in, because if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't just be me. It's all of them that have done it. Thank you.
I just want to add one little thing, and it's I who was remiss in doing this. You also work closely with the Lions Club. So the Lions Club also, just a small staff, few people who are involved, but very engaged, very dedicated, and you put that parade together, and that. How many floats last year? How many entries, I should say? 120, yeah.
I'm expecting more this year.
Right, so it's extraordinary. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and advance the administrator's report. And we have some recognition for Mayor Johnson that we thought would make sense to just do right at this moment after all the other recognition that was just offered. So we have a statement here of thanks to Mayor Johnson. This is on behalf of the staff of the City of Sedro-Woolley, from each of our directors, each of the mayor's direct reports. And I just want to preface this with, we don't really have a mechanism for recognizing outgoing elected officials at the City of Sedro-Woolley at this time, and it's something that I'm going to be recommending that we do in the future to the City Council. It's something that they will need to consider in their handbook, their governance handbook, and so this will become more of a formal thing that we do in the future. But in the absence of that, we, the staff, want to thank Mayor Johnson for her years of service. So I'm going to read a statement, and each of the directors has signed this statement along with me. On behalf of the staff of the City of Sedro-Woolley, thank you for your more than 10 years of service as an elected official for our city. Your time with us included 2 years as the City Council member and 8 years as the mayor, where you served as our organization's CEO. You accomplished many things during your time with the organization, including providing extensive service to the community through the Sedro-Woolley Rotary, Sedro-Woolley Rise, Sedro-Woolley Arts Commission, Sedro-Woolley Chamber of Commerce, passage of a levy lid lift in 2019 to benefit the police department with additional staffing that included 3 new officers and a new school resource officer, creation of the Swift Center through the transfer of the Northern State Hospital Central Campus to the Port of Skagit, transfer of Northern State Cemetery from the state to the city, transfer of the land for Olmsted Park from the port to the city, leadership of the city through the COVID-19 pandemic, leadership of the city through the floods of 2021 and 2025, development of the Sedro-Woolley YMCA Recreation Center through the leasing of the city's old library building, and passage of a levy lid lift to benefit the fire department with 8 additional firefighter EMTs in 2023. Mayor Johnson led the development of Olmsted Park, state-of-the-art technological upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant, a new office and storage buildings for the Public Works Department, all the divisions of Public Works, the Sedro-Woolley Library, the creation of the new Sedro-Woolley Library, additional fire department, living and sleeping quarters, the State Route 9 roundabout at John Liner Road and McGargle Road, which has just been recently completed, and Memorial Park as well, the splash pad and the improvements there. She also helped secure funding for improvements that will occur in 2026 to the Northern State Historic Cemetery. Mayor Johnson formulated the policy for preservation of historic homes and buildings in Sedro-Woolley through the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation. She worked early with the county and cities to be included in receiving opioid settlement funding. She worked with the county and other Skagit County cities to create a strategic shift towards a fire-based EMS system that was initiated in 2018. This allowed cities greater ambulance coverage and countywide funding that was fully implemented in 2019. She provided tireless service in the region, serving on many boards of directors, including Skagit Transit, Skagit Council of Governments, Skagit 911, and our Economic Development Partnership, EDASC. She contributed as a founding member of North Star, along with the county commissioners and Skagit County mayors. By sharing resources and working with state and federal legislators, North Star is well established and provides community-based care and safe and stable housing. Its most recent accomplishment is the completion of the Star Center in Sedro-Woolley, which had a ribbon cutting last week. And I didn't mention this on Olmsted Park, but Olmsted Park also had a ribbon cutting last week. She served as a board member for the Association of Washington Cities and for many years on the Association of Washington Cities Legislative Committee. She also achieved the level of Advanced Certificate of Municipal Leadership through her engagement with the Association of Washington Cities. And she cared deeply, she's an incredible person, cared deeply about the city staff and personally supported each individual in the organization with empathy. For these accomplishments and the opportunity to work for you, we are forever grateful. And this statement is presented to you respectfully this 25th day of March 2026. Once again, signed by myself as well as all of our directors on behalf of the organization. We have one more item for Mayor Johnson as well. Kelly, do you want to present this? Do you want to read it?
Julia Johnson, council member, January 2016 to January 2018, and mayor, January 2018 to April 2026. On behalf of the city of Sedro-Woolley, thank you for your 10 years of service.
So I shared this earlier, but I'm going to say it again because it's so true. Any success that anyone experiences is because of the people that you have around you who are really willing and able to do the work. And, you know, you're looking at an extremely talented, intelligent, and gifted group of directors here. And they work not only very well together and with each other, but also to do things that are for the betterment of you, the citizens. They care deeply about what they do, and they care deeply about how it impacts the community. And I have had the honor to work with them, and the accomplishments that have happened, it's gracious that it has come under me because I guess I'm the mayor. But really, these are the people who deserve it, right along with the council, because the council and the councils before them were the ones who supported the policies and the different programs that we brought before them and encouraged them to be a part of, and they did. So all that you heard here, I am humbled and I am grateful, and it's fantastic that I have had this opportunity to do this. But I am so grateful for each and every one of these directors because they are the ones who have really, really made it happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's move on to the reports. Thank you.
Yes, under the city administrator's report, that was actually item number 3. I just thought it flowed better in the meeting to handle it then. I'm going to go now to item number 1, Riverfront Ballpark's relocation, option 2, and Public Works Director Bill Bullock will present this item.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the relocation of Riverfront Park from the ball fields at Riverfront Park has been a pretty big topic of late, especially since the flood. And a lot of this, the reason for the desire to relocate the ball fields, as you know, is flood resilience. And so originally, I've changed this to the title of Riverfront Ball Fields Relocation, because then it fits the couple different options that have come up. And the original option, our first thought of staff, Nathan, and the Parks Department was to simply switch the soccer fields at Winnie Hauser with the ball fields at Riverfront Park, because it's much easier to move goalposts than it is fences. And then, so the second option that's come up since then is the potential to locate ball fields at NSRA, which is a county facility, and this was originally apparently was first proposed in 2001 time area, and really it hasn't come to fruition mainly because of funding. And so, as you know, Family Promise? Okay, Helping Hands. I always get this wrong. But so we have a funding source that had, I guess I'd call it, leftover money that's eligible for parks to the tune of somewhere in the tune of $250,000 to $300,000, which is part of what we had thought we'd use that towards relocating the ball fields. And so the concept with NSRA, it's in your packet. You know, there are, it's still going to be a choice. There are certain pluses and minuses to either option, okay? So we're going to talk mainly about this option two, because I sort of want to present it to council and kind of get it on everybody's minds. The location of the ball fields at NSRA, one of the differences between the Winnie Hauser Riverfront swap is those are groomed, established fields, okay? So really all it is moving one set of facilities to the other. NSRA is just a field that would take earthwork and some grooming to get it to where we could actually put ball fields there. And we've used some of our cost estimate. This is really rough. It's in the packet. But we used the efforts we did at Olmsted Park, because we did basically the same thing. We groomed off all the grass. We replanted grass. That level of earthwork. It's not something digging out feet of material, but it is a fairly big effort for 6 acres. The layout you have before you, one of the pieces we've done is we have vetted this somewhat with the County Parks Department just to see even if this was a viable interest. And they have, or at least at that level, they have said yes, they would be interested in having ball fields in that location, but the issue is funding. And so with your packet, there's a picture there of basically the minimum we need to do is replace the Little League fields at Riverfront Park. This has a concept that also puts an adult ball field there. Probably wouldn't, the part of the desire expressed by the county at this point is to really utilize the southern half of the field. So we kind of preserve the view from the veterans facility they have there. So we'd probably not put the adult field in and actually mirror those 2 Little League fields further south on the property to start with anyway. But nonetheless, I have been out there personally on a very rainy day, and I will say it's not a swamp. So there is wet areas, but I think where we'd mainly put those fields, the ground's pretty firm. I was pretty impressed with it, that I wasn't walking through 2 inches of water. So that's very promising. And so we do have, and we also included with the packet there is a protected critical area site plan that's been approved and recorded with the county. That basically what we have is Hanson Creek has an alluvial fan. And then if you've been out there, there's a berm around the property that separates that alluvial fan for the rest of the park area. And what this PLA does is allow development, and oddly enough, the site map on the PLA is the baseball park plan from 2001, is to put appropriate park-type facilities within the berm so that you don't disturb the alluvial fan in the critical area. So that's a big permitting hurdle that's already been taken care of years ago. But there may be some other permitting pieces. I think it involves a rather amiable ILA with the county, but it would require an ILA with the county. What the counties bring to the table is acreage. And I've had the general conversation that if we graded out what would be the parking lot, they could possibly do the chip seal and the paving, and then we'd take care of the striping. But this does rely on the city paying for the construction and the relocation of the parks, because that's the funding issue. And I would say it would likely, both options will take likely some funds out of the general fund, but to marry up with those funds from Helping Hands funding source. Both options are doable. Both options have their pros and cons. But one of the other benefits with this, we would probably do it next summer if we were to do it and could get everything lined up to get there. But we could construct this in the summer during baseball season and everything else. The option one, swapping Winnie Hauser with Riverfront, we would actually be doing during the fall and the winter between baseball and soccer seasons and all that stuff, which is a little more difficult, but because we have groomed areas we're swapping from without a lot of earthwork that gets muddy, it's possible to do. But being able to do it ahead of time so we don't run this scheduling risk is certainly a benefit to NSRA. And then the other thing is it builds a lot of reserve capacity at Riverfront. So after we move these ball fields from Riverfront to NSRA, keep the soccer fields at Winnie Hauser, we then have a lot of acreage available to add more soccer fields or whatever other amenity that becomes necessary down at Riverfront. I mean, it could be all new ball fields, it could be some ball fields, some playground, whatever. But certainly, that also benefits Lager Rodeo, because without fences in the way, you actually have more space to spread out for both parking, fireworks, and other things you do down at Riverfront at Lager Rodeo, which has issues as is pretty crowded down there when we put everything we put in down there right now. So that also has a benefit. So anyway, I'm not looking for a motion or anything like that today. I just wanted to introduce that part of it, answer any questions you may have.
Are there any
I think
questions?
that's pretty complete, but that's a lot of information too. But it's kind of a neat opportunity.
Councilman Cock?
Just a quick question. So, just so my math is good, there would be 5 ball fields?
No, 4.
4. Oh, I see.
Sorry, that's a concept, and then we've realized that our landscape architect came up with that, and she was out there with us walking around, and it's a part of that was that's kind of a maximum we could think about, but really, from what I know from input from the county, they'd like us to stay to the southern half of the acreage at this time. So think of taking that adult ball field out and sliding the 2 Little League fields that are further to the left down, so you have 4 baseball diamonds that are grouped together.
Yeah, just real quick follow-up. So under this and the other option, would you still retain the ball field at Riverfront next to the basketball place, because that's higher up, or would that go too?
I don't know. I haven't talked about that. It could. I would say if it has low risk due to flood damage, we probably certainly could think of that. Right now, the goal I've gotten from Nathan and my parks crew is we got 4 Little League fields to relocate, so that's our goal.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kesty?
Thank you. I just want to thank you for doing all of the work with this, and I know there's going to be a lot of old timers who also worked on this way back when, who will be very happy to hopefully see it through to fruition.
Okay. Councilman Lavaca?
Oh, thank you, Madam Mayor. And thanks for meeting up. That was awesome to have a good discussion on it. I'm excited by it because that's one of the things I hear a lot of is where do we got for our kids to go play and have more time outside and play ball especially. So more fields are always helpful. I would like to, even see both at some point, see the Winnie Hauser switch and then also pursue getting some fields up there, and especially since it's open space and I walk there a lot. There's not a lot that happens in that field. So thank you for keeping your foot on the gas right when that idea came up. And tell Nathan we really appreciate all he's doing on it as well, please.
Councilman Loy?
About 20 years ago, I was involved in getting that 6 acres down there for baseball field. It's been 20 years, and I can never figure out why it hasn't been used for a baseball field, 4 of them, soccer fields, or anything. It's just been sitting there. How do we get that involved in the plan?
You do either this site or the site down at Riverfront.
Down at Riverfront.
Oh, down at
That's 6
Riverfront?
acres we got from FEMA.
Oh, that's an additional subject that I can get into later. But right now, a couple different challenges with that. I mean, right now we lease it to a farmer to farm, but one, it's not in our city limits, it's in the county. And so there's a piece there where we probably have to go through some level of annexation or whatever before we improve that. But I have to,
It could be used for, it'd be a great picnic area, it'd be great for everything, and it just sits there.
sure.
I can't tell, Councilman Henderson, do you have your?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. So when we're making the switch, obviously, we're gonna have to have baseball season down there this year. I mean, and so I like this plan because summertime we get to do all the construction. It's not doable in the winter. Like, it doesn't matter how you shake it. You can't build baseball fields in the wintertime. So I like that plan. And then moving forward, we'd be expanding our open capacity down at Riverfront for soccer.
Or
Like,
many things, but soccer certainly would be one of our focuses right now.
cool, because I know that Winniehauser during soccer season sometimes gets some standing water in there, and we might have to relocate fields and stuff like that. So adding that capacity down there would be great. Thanks.
I just have one question. So when Louis first showed me the plans, the fields, I don't know how else to describe it, it was like it was in a wheel.
Right.
So is there a problem with using that plan? It seemed like it was more fields than
Well,
what this offers.
Actually, some of this plan may change the orientation as well. As I've been learning about orienting ball fields lately, more than I ever wanted to know, but nonetheless, is that it's handy to have them actually pointing towards the west more than anything else because of sunlight and that type of thing. So, or northwest, I should probably say. So these fields probably all need to face towards the Veterans Memorial with the outfield in one way. I'm learning more about ball fields and ball field orientation as I do this. But we just need to look into that. That'll be part of the design considerations for what the optimal orientation is. You're right, the Janicki Fields currently has all 4 fields in a diamond. I think that's done mainly to conserve space, whereas we have a little more space than that right here. I don't know what the ultimate layout will be.
Right.
These are just, I just wanted to know when I asked the landscape architect, tell me, is it scalable and is it possible and what do I have to work with? Because that's the important thing right now. But we will work those things out of what the best orientation is. And fortunately, in this area, we have the space to do whatever's optimal as opposed to what's the most efficient for the ground.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for pursuing this. Yes.
Councilmember Peterson online.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Has
Go
her hand
ahead. Councilman Pedersen?
Hi, thanks for your work on this, Bill, and thanks to all of your staff as well. Earlier when we were talking about moving these ball fields, I remember some of the council had concerns about parking and traffic and everything like that. This plan looks like it would really resolve a lot of those issues. Are there any parking constraints here?
That's part of the thing is it will be, say, adding 150% of the parking spaces. So right now you have parking spaces at the veterans lot, okay? We'll be more than doubling that amount of parking space. And the goal there, both for the events for the Veterans Memorial and stuff, they certainly would be lead off and use our parking too. Right now, even with that, sometimes you get parking on the main street and stuff. So the goal here is to provide enough parking. I'm not going to say we're not going to have people parking on the street, but we want to minimize that particular thing so we don't have people a mile away and stuff. One of my rules of thumb is that I never guess the right amount of parking. I'm always seem to be too low because, I don't know, parking abhors a vacuum, I think. But anyway, the idea here is to substantially increase the amount of parking so we can minimize adverse impacts either on the county's current facility or on the main road.
That sounds like a huge benefit with this plan. And I had one other follow-up question. You mentioned concern and issues about the sightlines from the Veterans Memorial. Is there anything we can do looking at landscaping to try to mitigate that impact over time so that in future we could expand and add more fields?
Yeah, I think part of this is going to be a little bit performance-based. You know, if we do a good success with this first phase, there's no reason why, the county may say, hey, let's do more of this. But at this, and if there's need to do that, I'm going to let them kind of direct me on how that type of thing would happen. Right now, and part of it is if we use the south side of the property first, we can figure out how we step into more elaborate stuff later. But right now, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible as well.
Thank you.
I see one more question, Councilman Lavaca?
On the parking, when we met, I talked to you about like just the simple need. It didn't even look like it was quite enough, so maybe 150 spaces. But I wonder if one of the first things we can start off with fairly soon is to work on increasing parking over there. And I know that it's always tight with the disc golf tournaments and any tournaments going on over there. There's just no place to park. So is that something we can start kind of ahead of time, working with the county with this future plan in mind? And I know that we would kind of look at footing a bit of the bill on that, or seeing where we would work out where they maybe do the top section, we do the bottom section, the
Right.
cheap sale would do the gravel.
I don't know what the timeline is really, but heck, it's possible. I mean, with the council's pleasure, and I'm going to go to a meeting with the County Parks Commission to kind of show them the concept, the idea, and see if I get a nod from them. Then the next step to me would be to form that ILA with the county, present to the county commissioners as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then get an ILA, if we can get an ILA done, I don't know, could be a month, could be 2 months if I'm really going fast. But if everybody's in agreement that this is a good concept to do, no reason why it shouldn't go any slower. And then what we do is we'd start with a design. And part of that, I mean, this isn't going to be a huge amount of design. We're not moving 200,000 yards of material here. Mm-hmm. And certainly that could be something we talk to the county with and do it as a first phase to grade out something where the parking lot would be. Potentially they could chip seal it this summer, and we wouldn't really be constructing any of this stuff until 2027 summer, because again, permitting, and there's some other things to deal with. And really the biggest thing about moving the riverfront ball field relocation is before the next flood.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't want to flood
2
next
weeks.
year. Yeah, thanks.
I could-
Yeah. I knew somebody was going to say that, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, if when you meet with them, if you can.
But given that, yeah, something like that could be possible to establish a parking lot sooner than later, which wouldn't be bad to use for staging construction and other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's certainly a doable thing.
I think the community would appreciate it, the county would appreciate it, and it's definitely a major need right now. 'Cause,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
nice.
I make that some of my focus when I coordinate with the county.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bill.
Just one comment related to that, is that is county property. So we just need to be careful about making improvements on county property with city funds without that interlocal agreement that has some reciprocation. So, if we move forward with doing the parking first and the ball fields never panned out, that would be a little bit of a challenge to say what did we get in return for spending those city funds. So just keeping that in mind as well.
And you mentioned the ILA for sure, and making sure that was in place before even going forward. So definitely, but even with just the advantage of having the parking without even the ball fields would be a massive asset to this community, just by having a place to go. I know that I have a hard time parking over there, and I live here, so it'd be great. But yeah, that ILA would be great.
Councilman Kopp?
Yeah, just your comment made me wonder. So in the ILA, I'm sure we've done a bunch of these. So we would actually, I just want to be clear in my own mind, we would own the ball field equipment, or the backboards and all. I mean, the backstops. I was a little league coach. It's ridiculous I say that. The backstops and they would own the land, and there would be some sort of agreement worked out on liability, because like I said, I was a Little League coach, and, well, Little League has protections with liability, but you know, it's such a litigious society nowadays.
Right. So the ILA would line out, I don't want to say essentially a lease, but basically would line out that we're building the ball fields, we're also operating and maintaining the ball fields. I mean, we operate and maintain the ball fields at Riverfront, so we just basically transfer that expense to there. Because that's the other part of this, is they want us to maintain them, and I would expect that as well. But we would have our exclusive right to use them during ball field season for our programs. In the wintertime, I'm assuming there'd be some joint use of it during off-season use, no reason why not. And then basically the ILA would line out each party's roles and responsibilities and expectations. And one of that would, and we'd also likely have a sign that says that these ball fields are owned and operated by the city of Sedro-Woolley, partially so if there's complaints, they come to us instead of the county and that type of thing. But yeah, that would have to be clearly spelled out, defined, reviewed by both legal departments so that we have something that's very solid document regarding the expectations and rights for who uses what ball field and that type of thing.
Okay, good questions. Exciting ideas. Thank you, Bill. Moving on to senior services.
Yes, just an update on senior center and nutrition services for seniors. Mayor Johnson and I have been a part of a bunch of meetings in the last week, and one good result from that is the council, you approved an interlocal agreement amendment to our senior center agreement a while back with the county that they had proposed. They realized that our agreement with them is a little bit different than the other cities. Most of the cities are on one-year agreements. We're on a 2-year agreement that runs through the end of this year. So their thought was not to sign the amendment that we approved. And we've had a discussion about just having them underbill us, essentially, to not bill us for the meals portion for the second half of the year. And that we just leave the agreement in place for the remainder of the year. That's the simplest thing, rather than drawing up a new interlocal agreement and having this amendment and so on and so forth. So they're considering that. I haven't heard anything back from them, but there shouldn't be a reason why they can't do that. So I think we have resolved that short-term issue for now. And so that's good. The county also really iterated to us when we met with them that they are open and willing to continue to provide senior center services to the communities. So I know in discussions with Burlington, Burlington's likely going to do that at least for the rest of this year, if not into the future. Mount Vernon's considering that as well, which means we don't necessarily have a city partner to partner up with if we wanted to do something different. So that is just something to keep in mind as we go forward. But my recommendation right now, based on what I know, is 1, to work on the meals and nutrition program, and 2, to really consider staying with the county going forward if we can work out a good deal with them. The cities are all talking about working out kind of a joint agreement with the county as it relates to revenue. So we've made progress on that. As it relates to, by revenue, I mean, as it relates to the county, essentially how much the county is going to put into the partnership to continue to operate the senior centers. So that needs to still be resolved, but that would affect more 2027 and beyond. The county is open to a 5-year, a 3 to 5 year, at least thinking about a longer term agreement. So we asked them that directly, and they understand our desire to have a long-term cancellation on it. Right now it's a 30-day cancellation, but we talked about a year cancellation, so they'd have to give us 12 months notice. So if that happened ever, we would have the ability to adjust our budget, have plenty of time to respond. So that was a good discussion with the county. Meals program remains a real focus. There was a big meeting yesterday with about 30 people, a ton of different agencies, all the advisory boards from the various senior centers. Burlington was there, I was there, and representatives were there from Anacortes and Mount Vernon as well. So big discussion. We're waiting for some entity, some agency to become the primary provider for nutrition services countywide. That is the requirement from Northwest Regional Council. There are likely two different agencies that are trying to figure out exactly how to mitigate risk to take this contract on in partnership, and that's the Skagit Council on Aging and Community Action. There were a couple of agencies that had also responded to a request for information that was put out last year by NWRC. We also met with NWRC, and we were assured as well, we were assured again yesterday, there are contingency plans in place to keep Meals on Wheels operating July 1st. So Meals on Wheels should be in good shape. It won't exactly be the way it's been in the past under a contingency approach, but people will still get food that way. The congregate meals remain a challenge. These are the meals served in the senior centers, and getting providers stood up in time to start providing those July 1st is still an ongoing challenge that people are trying to figure out. I think it's not super likely, but it's still something that everybody's working on. I've gotten directly involved with Skagit Council on Aging and Community Action, and I'm directly working with them right now, trying to figure this out. We've had meetings here in Sedro-Woolley with Helping Hands. We've talked with the Sedro-Woolley School District. We've reached out to Cascade Job Corps. We've identified some local partners who could be a part of a solution, and we've made all the parties aware of this and encouraged the other cities to do the same, because it's really going to take, I think, a variety of community resources, and the resources are all there. It's just a matter of connecting everyone and getting under an umbrella organization. So a big goal right now is to help SCOA, Skagit Council on Aging, and Community Action mitigate the risk to the point where they feel like they can take this on because they know enough information, they know where the funding's coming from, they know what the contingency plans are and how they're going to work, they know how the county's going to exit. So there are a lot of ongoing questions that we're working to answer. There's another meeting next week with that big group of about 30 people to continue working on this. Mayor Johnson's going to be at that meeting, and we'll continue to stay directly engaged with these folks and continue to work on that. So Meals program is still a work in progress. We were asked as cities, what can we bring to the table? And it was put out there that, well, maybe cities could come to the next meeting and just say what we can offer. But that's kind of a backwards way to do it. And so I told them I didn't think that was a good idea. We need to know what the need is, and then we can figure out how we might be able to be a player in solving that need. And we can certainly bring local resources to the table, like some of the ones we've identified. Because for all of you, it's like, well, how much money do you want to provide them? Well, that's not the way we typically look at questions of public policy. So, but there will be opportunity to look at that. The meals program going forward, not likely to be the way it's been in the past. Things are going to change, different providers, different approaches. I think it's going to be more efficient and cost effective, but it won't be exactly the same way it was, but there may be opportunities in the future to have a better program here in Sedro-Woolley if that's what we choose to do. We need to let all these partnerships settle in first so we can figure out how exactly to plug into that whole process. So I think I covered basically all of what I had to say in terms of updates. We've had, as I said, a bunch of meetings, and we will continue to work on a couple of things that will come back to the council for sure. I'll keep you updated on all these other things, but hopefully there's no more county action in 2026 on our current contract with them. The meals program, there'll probably be something down the road that we'll talk almost for sure that we'll talk about in terms of council policy action. The county funding agreement negotiations, likely going into cities working together and figuring that out. And then cities negotiation, I'm not seeing any city partners emerging right now, so I don't necessarily see that as an option for us right at the moment. But it's important we stay linked with these regional partners because there are multiple grant funding programs that fund a lot of this activity. There are 2 federal grant programs that fund both congregate meals as well as Meals on Wheels. And then there's also state money involved in this. And Northwest Regional Council, which is a multi-county partnership, they're the folks who hold and manage those grants. They will contract with one provider in Skagit County. That provider will then filter that money and those services out throughout the county, likely with a long list of partners. So that's the update. Happy to take any questions from council right now, but I just want to keep you fully informed. It's moving quick. I was tempted to put something in the packet, but it would have been woefully outdated by now already.
I just want to make a comment. So you've heard the expression herding cats. It's kind of the way that it has felt, but this is really quite complicated. It's been very convoluted moving through it, and a lot of really kudos to Charlie because he's keeping it going in a direction. Otherwise, it'd be pretty easy to be caught up in just a spin, just spinning round and round, spinning our wheels. Very good leadership on that part. Very glad that you did take this on. And I know that as I move away, that you'll make sure that our seniors are taken care of and that those meals are provided, because that is really what we all want to see happen. So thank you, Charlie. And I see Councilman Lavaca has a question.
So thank you very much for doing that. I do agree. It doesn't make sense to be, pointing out what we have to place at the table when we don't even have the demographics or the amount of meals that are going out and what our county area or regional area, because it's not just in the city, but what the effect is on that. I am leery about entering into anything with the county, to tell you the truth. I think the county kind of dropped the ball a little bit on this one. They excel in certain areas, and in some areas, just like every other body, doesn't excel. And so this is one where they kind of dropped the ball. And so it would feel a lot better if we had a little bit more control over that. And I know that other cities aren't really weighing in right now, or they're leaning in a different direction. But, certainly it's amazing we didn't have any serious forethought that this was really coming down the pike until it was a really big issue. So if there is a way out, kind of think about that. How can we best care for the citizens around here? Because they are the most vulnerable, and we really do need to make sure we help them. So if we just join back with the county and then find out in a year from now, oh, by the way, this whole thing was falling apart, we didn't get any heads up, that wouldn't help them at all.
Yeah, I would just say I've had the same concerns in my conversations with Mayor Johnson, and it's tricky. One of the things we ran into in our discussion with the county is our senior center director is retiring, and the county initially didn't want to even talk about a 6-month interlocal agreement for the rest of this year until we figured out what was going to happen with replacing that staff member, because they count on her to basically run our center. So that part's been a little bit tricky. If we think a little bit longer term, we potentially can at least make sure that hire occurs. But it's on the county right now contractually to provide those services. And the counties, at least if we can lock them into a longer term deal, I would actually connect it to the funding deal if we did it and say, all right, if we're doing a 5-year funding deal, then you're going to provide us senior services for at least 5 years as well, something to that effect. But I understand the concern. Anacortes does their own. And that has a funding agreement with the county, so that is, so that is an option that we could explore.
I'm going to go to Councilwoman Pedersen.
Hi, thanks Charlie for all of your work on this. It's really good to hear that Northwest Regional Council is actually negotiating with some providers, and that we'll have that ongoing service once those negotiations are completed. That was something that was really concerning, I think, to all of the council and everyone in the community, and it's really good to hear that that's moving forward. I agree with Nick that we should exercise caution in our agreements with the county, especially on this moving forward. But I do think that it is appropriate for the county to chip in on those services, because as far as I understand, we're not only serving people who live within Sedro-Woolley city limits. There are a lot of people, we don't have the statistics on it, but I believe there are some people from the county who are also being served in the various senior centers in our cities, and I do believe it's appropriate for the county to chip in financially on that. So I'm happy to see that they're willing to do that and do that on an ongoing basis.
Okay, Councilman Koch.
Yes, I also want to thank you, Charlie. This is yeoman's work, working through all these complexities. Following up on the last two comments, if we do go our own way, are there mechanisms that we could access funds like Older American Act? I know that's federal, but does that all pass through the county, or can we access it directly, or is that just impossible?
it's not a direct relationship. So at least for the meals and nutrition program, and there are other, I'm sure, grant programs as well, but NWRC really controls those grants. So we would need to have a contract, and we as a city will anyway, with that umbrella organization that ends up being the countywide provider. We will as a city because we're going to need to allow them to use our senior center to deliver meals, provide meals, congregate meals. But we would also, if we became kind of an active hands-on provider of these things, then we would certainly be able to tap into some of those grant funds. In terms of other funds that are available, I'm still learning all of that. So we do have our advisory board, and they do a great job of doing local fundraising. And we do have community foundation as well at the table in these discussions countywide. So I do think there's going to be a fair amount of money that could be tapped into.
And, Job Corps does have a culinary program, and I wonder if they have a commercial kitchen up there too.
They do, and that's part of our thinking with bringing them up. And Sedro-Woolley School District, we've talked with them as well, and they have a number of commercial kitchens as well as one that's not currently used at all, that maybe could turn into something with some upgrades that could be more of a full-time, almost dedicated kitchen with, assuming that that's what they would like to do. So there's opportunity there as well. And then Helping Hands is another potential partner we've talked with. So we've got some great assets here in our community.
Councilman Henderson.
Thank you. I really appreciate your leadership on this, Charlie. I know that you've, taken the ball and ran with this. I've been to one meeting with you on this, great questions you're asking, and I like how you're pushing the conversation in a way that it's actually going to cross the finish line someday. And there was a lot of back and forth talking with a lot of the other agencies, and so I really appreciate your vision on getting to the goal here. A couple questions. You mentioned a contingency for the July 1st ending of the meals. Can we get a little bit of information on what that might look like?
Yeah, I can just give you general information from what I've heard, that they would be contracting with some kind of national provider to directly have meals delivered. And they have a number of different options that they would consider under that if they need to go to that place. But NWRC would be doing that directly. So they would ensure that these meals do get delivered July 1st.
Okay. And then the meeting next week, when and where is that meeting at?
I know it is in...
I have it in my calendar.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's, necessarily open to the public, but
No,
if council
it's not.
members want to come, we can talk with you about that.
Okay. It'd be nice to know and be a part of that conversation. Thanks, Charlie.
So we will move on to council reports, and I'll start with you, Mr. Lavaca.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. So I was reminded about the parade today, obviously, with the award ceremony. And so there is the 250th year parade. We got Kitty Parade. We got the parade for our 250 year anniversary, which is really exciting. So it should be a lot of fun. I just encourage anybody from our community to participate and even get friends or neighbors together to participate. It's always fun to make up a float. It's always fun to get out in the community and enjoy. And I would encourage making this one a really, really good one. The other thing that I have is trail builders. I was very thankful to see those guys come in. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, for doing that. They've done an amazing job for our community. I think that we showed them that, or hopefully gave some of that, but I don't know that we could ever fully thank them for what they've done. And I know that a lot of people that I know very much so enjoy those trails, and to see them continue to grow and volunteers come and help build those. So they've done really good. This being your last meeting, Madam Mayor, I do want to point out one thing that I think should be noted that I feel always important about when I talk about when I mention you, and that is 4 years ago my mom passed, and you know that obviously. And I've always admired my mom very much so, but I didn't express like any of that. Kind of kept that hurt inside and just didn't really deal with it. I was going to go to the meeting, and I ended up calling and saying, yeah, I'm not going to go to this meeting tonight. And you were saying, well, what's up? What's wrong? And I told you my mother passed, and you immediately went into prayer for her. And you prayed for me, and it was a heartfelt prayer. And I just, I always, I would be bewildered if I did not mention that when mentioning you, and especially this being the last meeting, just to say that out loud and give you a heartfelt thank you so much for doing that. That's, it meant more than you'd think.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks.
Councilman Loy?
I just got a short little one. Last time I was here, I made an announcement, so I thought I'd make another big announcement tonight. Next week is my 23rd year as a member of the Skagit County Parks Board, and that's my last. So I'm dropping out after 23 years, but I think I'd put my time in. And that's my big announcement.
Can't go another year.
So in that time, some really great things have happened. There's been several parks that have been acquired and completed, and the Centennial Trail came through, and it's up on the southern part of Clear Lake.
Don't forget the waterfall.
And that's right, the waterfall. I'm sure I can't begin to mention them, but I know that you've had your hand in helping in the successes of all those parks, and it's fantastic. Thank you, Kevin, for your dedication to that. Yeah.
Now I get to rest.
Now you get to rest. That's right. Okay. Councilman Cock?
Just a couple of things. Last week, I attended the ribbon cuttings for our new Olmsted Park and the Star Center. Those were wonderful events. They received tremendous community support. And I have to recognize on her last council meeting, this is just one of many things that your leadership brought to fruition that benefits the citizens of not only Sedro-Woolley, but as the commissioner said, the entire county. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Kesty?
Thank you. The Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Parade is this Saturday, March 28th at 11 o'clock, downtown Woolley. And so I invite all of you to come out and wave your flags for them, and then head over to the museum for the grand opening of their military exhibit.
Very cool. Thank you. Councilman Henderson?
Thank you. I just got three things tonight. First, Bill, this one, I'm going to throw this one your way. Going westbound on Ferry Street, you go up to the stoplight past the train tracks, and there's a left-hand turn lane that will take you west onto Highway 20. And all the other turn indicators that we have in town, they all flash yellow, and this one just sits solid red, so you have to wait a full light cycle till you can go west on Highway 20. And I know you know the guy that does the programming, and I was wondering if you could put a good word in for us and cut my morning commute down by 2 minutes. That would be really awesome. Second item, the last couple of weeks on Ferry Street, we had a guy parked in his car and living in his car. We had a lot of different complaints of trash and debris getting thrown out around his car. He finally moved after 10 days, and he moved 1 block down the road. He had been doing the same thing in Burlington for about the past 2 months, and the code enforcement there brought every bit of help and resources that the county has to offer to him, and he refused all of it because he knows he has to move every 72 hours after he's been contacted. So he was offered help from me and all of my neighbors to get his car running, and we were just told, go away. So I'd like us to look at our on-street parking ordinances to help mitigate this, because I know we have a 72-hour time limit, but people living in their cars in front of the taxpayers' homes isn't great for a lot of people and makes the neighborhood a little bit uncomfortable, especially with kids going to and from school. All right, number 3, ribbon cutting of Olmsted Park was on Friday. I've heard from several people over the weekend and into this week that the park's closed and they're told that they can't use it or go and do anything. So maybe if we could put on our Facebook page, if the park's not open, we could let them know, because you have a ribbon cutting and something's supposed to be open. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
there's
I
a lot of
understand.
confusion behind that.
We've made up some signs to inform people when the park's going to open. It's going to open on May 1st. Right now, it's a combination of plant establishment and getting the stucco on the buildings and the weather, better weather coming up. We want to do that as soon as we can. But right now, also, the ground's so saturated that we don't want to ruin the grass either until that ground firms up. So that's our current plans. So yeah, we'll put it on Facebook as well. But right now, we've made signs and posted those signs at the property just so people have an idea and understand what's going on and what our goals are.
I totally understand if it's not ready, and that's where the confusion comes from, the ribbon cutting and everything, so. Well, I appreciate that. May 1st?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And the fishing derby is on May 2nd.
Okay, first I want to thank the staff and especially Kelly, because I know that she works.
Madam Mayor, sorry to interrupt. We forgot about Nora Peterson.
Oh, I am so sorry, Nora.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that since our last meeting, I have attended a Skagit Housing Consortium meeting and a North Star meeting. Both of these organizations are working to address the housing crisis, which, like Alan was saying, is an issue here, even in Sedro-Woolley. It's really good to see collaboration on that really important issue. This is one of the issues that was brought to my attention frequently during my campaign from constituents who wanted to see more affordable housing. So that's a really important work that's being done there. And then I also wanted to say that I attended the ribbon cuttings both at Olmsted Park and at the Star Center. It was really great to see the turnout. It was really terrible weather. Like Bill was saying, it is pretty muddy out there where they're trying to get that grass established. But it was a great turnout and good to see so many community members out there supporting the good work that the city is doing. I also wanted to thank our mayor for her long service to our community. I know I'm not the only one doing this today. I wasn't able to make it to the reception. I've been sick and I just didn't want to get anyone else sick. It's been truly an honor to begin my term on the council with you as our mayor, Julia. The depth and breadth of your knowledge and experience is truly incredible. Thank you so much for all of the work that you've done here in Sedro-Woolley.
Thank you, Nora. Okay, and my apologies again. I have a little list here that I just kind of keep checking, and so I apologize. I don't always look up to see what I need to see. Just for me, it's thank you to everybody who really made this a special evening tonight. It was quite a packed house, and I was quite awed and honored by everything that was shared, and it will long be remembered, and I thank you all for doing that. And Kelly, I know you did a lot of the setup, and I thank you for doing that. You went and got the food, and I just really appreciate it very much. And thank you, Charlie, for all the little touches, especially the letter of accomplishments, and that you had everybody sign it, and I'm going to have that framed, and it's going to go on my wall. So thank you very much. Yep, thank you, everyone. The ribbon cuttings were a lot of fun. They were well attended. Representative Rick Larson came out. He was here for the weekend, and it just happened to be one of those things that just fell into place. He was here for both the Star Center ribbon cutting as well as Olmsted. As you recall, Senator, I don't know why I keep calling him Senator. I think it's been a long day. Too much fun. Representative Larson gave us $500,000 to help complete that park, and there were a lot of holdups with it between the issues with the federal funding and also with COVID. It just was a real challenge getting it completed. So We started that park the year that I came on in 18, and it was quite an honor to have it completed, and willing to have the ribbon cutting while the congressman was here, so that we could do it with him to thank him, and also before I finished out my tenure as mayor. I must say, something that is going to happen, and I would encourage, actually, I would encourage, Tom, your department to do this. I know that, or even Bill, I know that there's going to be a public meeting as far as asking the public what they would like to see happen there. Pickleball courts, basketball courts, or playground equipment. And I would encourage you to do it there at the park. Have the open house there at the park and let people come and have those discussions and determine what they'd like to see happen there. So really looking forward to seeing what happens and what becomes of that. I know people are very, very excited about that park, and I've received a lot of kudos from people, and just so grateful to the city having completed it. Star Center will be opening here soon. There was a great turnout for that. It's much needed, and it's wonderful that we have the opportunity now for people who really need the services to get them. I especially want to thank the council for their willingness to provide funding for that. What you gave is going to make a difference. It truly is. Just to point out to your attention, the best letters, Scott Saylor and I have kind of been tag teaming. He's got a couple letters that he's written to Governor and FSEC, and I have as well. Not to FSEC, but to the governor, and that's under information if you'd like to read those. I did send out last week the AWC. AWC is looking for AWC Board of Directors. They're recruiting right now. We're District 14, and District 14 is open. I did serve on the board. I thought it was a wonderful experience. It was great to meet representatives from other cities and actually learn about how they're working through situations and even the projects that they have. And is it a project that could actually happen here in Sedro-Woolley? So it's a wonderful experience if you're willing to do that. There's an application in that flyer that I did send out to you. I also served on the AWC Legislative Priorities Board, which is same thing, absolutely fantastic. Also, it helps you feel very connected to what's happening within the legislation. So they are looking for somebody in District 14 to fill that. So if you're interested, please put your application in. I'm sure that if Sedro-Woolley could be represented again, that would be amazing. As Nora stated, we did go to the North Star meeting Tuesday of last week. And the updates were on the Star Center, Martha's Place, and Community Court, as well as First Steps. Good things, really good things happening. The priority of legislation and what are our next steps was also discussed. And they did something that was really, I know Paul and I really appreciated it. We were talking about it afterwards, after the meeting, and that was the funding of allocation. You could see where the cities had given money and whom they had given it to. And it wasn't necessarily those who were partners of North Star, but those agencies. So, for example, the Children of the Valley that the council has supported. You can kind of see where those tax dollars are going, and it's encouraging to know that we're taking that and putting that back into the community and giving them what they need. I just have one request. So I did hear from a citizen. I've heard from him before, and so I do want to acknowledge it. I've been thinking on this. He is concerned about the speed of the traffic on the North Fruitdale Road. The speed limit there, believe it or not, is 25. It is easy to exceed that. In all transparency, I have found that, I'm doing 35 sometimes when I should be doing 25. So I have I don't know, Chief McElraith, if there's a possibility. I did talk to Rachel, and she was saying that they have tried to catch speeders. It's kind of hard to do because it's so open. People usually slow down. But I'm wondering a couple things. First, we did have an older police car that we would put a sign on it, and it would show what the speed was as people were driving by, or in some cases flying by. I don't know if maybe we could dock that out there, see if that might make a difference? Have we done that already and it hasn't worked, or what?
Oh, we've done it in the past. We haven't put it out in a bit, so we can look at doing that.
Okay. The other thing is I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, even though I'm not really good at giving descriptive comments. But as you're heading out to Cook Road, there's a light that flashes and it shows how fast you're going, and if you're exceeding the speed limit, it flashes red and it shows is there a possibility of getting something like that out there, or is it too expensive to do that, or what's the possibility of doing that there?
It's always a possibility, just need to be approved by council.
Okay, all right. So is that something then that the cost and the likelihood, could that be brought before the council and they could give that consideration?
Yeah, me and Bill can talk.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. All right, and that's all that I have tonight. It is 7:25. I'm going to open it up for public comment, and we ask that you please keep the comments to 3 minutes or less. And because state law prohibits the use of city facilities for the purpose of supporting or opposing campaigns or ballot propositions, we respectfully request that the public comment not make references to this matter. So, thank you. Okay. I see 2 names on the list. The first is Chester Albright. Is Chester here? There you are, Chester. You're hiding behind. There you are. There's a mic right over here that's on, Chester, if you want to use that.
I've talked to him before, but the truck's coming up Highway 9, and now you're talking about traffic coming off Fruitdale. Instead of getting these guys that won't do nothing, get the state patrol up there. They will do something. They got to. Same thing on Highway 9 over here. They got to. Get the state patrol, the DOT up there, because those trucks coming off there are Canadians. And there's no way most of those Canadian trucks can use that roundabout. I guarantee you they won't. That roundabout is a joke from the word go. Especially when you got a semi coming out of Canada that's over 70 feet long, just a trailer itself. Then you got a truck in front of it, it's not going to make it. Then I got another question about that drone you had on the Skagit River, about that flooding. All you have to do is dredge that river. Get the county together and dredge that river. That's the only way you're going to solve it. They used to dredge it back in the 50s and 60s. You can do the same thing now. It's going to get worse, and somebody's going to die on that river. And that park you guys been talking about tonight, you know, that used to be a garbage dump at one time. In this town, used to be a garbage dump there. But you guys put a park there. Eventually, all that gas is under the ground, it's going to go up. You're going to have problems with it. That should have never been put to a park. There's other places in town that make a good park. There's a spot behind Les Schwab over here. There's all kinds of ground there. But down by that river, that's a joke. You're lucky no kid's fell in that river yet. And they will, eventually. I've been in this town for 65 years. I know this town quite well. I mean, I know things about Northern State up there. I mean, there's tunnels all over the place up there. And there's cemetery up there, morgue up there at one time. I mean, you guys need to get your stuff together before somebody gets killed in this town. Now, eventually it will be. I mean, then you guys talked about housing. Yeah, but there's nothing in this town for low-income people or veterans, as far as that goes. There's nothing. But he got it for everybody else, high-priced apartments, whole 9 yards. The one I live in out here is not low-income. Ain't nothing about it. There's handicapped parking there, but people parking there are not handicapped. I can't drive no more because of my heart attacks I've had. So I can't drive. But there's other people out there, but they got to park out in the parking lot. They can't use the handicap spot because everybody else parks there. They're not handicapped. You guys got to start doing something in this town for handicapped people and veterans. Because you guys don't do nothing for a veteran. You don't. And don't tell me that you do, because you don't.
I'm sorry, your time is up. Your 3 minutes are up.
Yeah, and that's illegal.
Appreciate hearing from you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Got the right to speak their mind.
And then I
gotta
see,
learn that
is there
too.
anybody else in the council here who has public comment, would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll go online. I see Joe Kunzler has his hand up.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you for your public service. Joe Kunzler here. I can't see the timer here, so I'm going to try to keep within 3 minutes. I want to start by thanking all of you for your public service. I know that hanging out at City Hall is probably not your idea of spending a Wednesday night, but oh, good, I see a timer. But we're here. I want to first thank Skagit Transit Board member Julia Johnson for her service on the Skagit Transit Board. She was one of the critical board members in making sure that we had a fare on paratransit so we could stabilize the paratransit part of Skagit Transit so that those who depend on paratransit, unlike I, could still have that service for those that need that high level of care. I do think the council should be gently made aware that the executive director of Skagit Transit said that some of you were not terribly supportive of the agency. She didn't name names, but I want you as a council aware of that. I will just say this. I depend on Skagit Transit to get around. I use fixed route, and I'm very much concerned about the future of that agency. Because that is my lifeline. So if there's a need for more funding, there's a need for more funding. I don't envy the next mayor of Sedro-Woolley because one of your jobs will be to serve on the board. I hope I'm not campaigning inappropriately when I say I have a preference for Joe and Krusty to be the next mayor for a long list of reasons, many of which go back to the 1990s. Hint. I want to conclude on this thought. We've asked a lot out of you as public servants the last 10 years or so. The tone of dialogue in our country and even locally has gotten more polarized, and I'm saddened by that. We had a COVID pandemic to deal with. We've had controversies around our elections. And I hope that whoever our next mayor is, whether it's my preference or not, that we can all come together and build back better. I want to again thank you for your public service and wish Mayor Johnson well in her future endeavors. Thank you again.
All right, thank you, Joe. And then I see we have several people online. Did they list names at all, Kelly, when they gave you that information?
No. Woody just mentioned that there was several people online, so I just wanted to point that out.
So I'll start, I guess, Ian Larson, I don't see a hand up, but are you wanting to make public comment?
If anybody remotely would like to make public comment, please raise your hand and I will unmute your mic.
All right. I don't know. I don't see any hands going up. Okay, so at that point, I'm going to close public comment. It is 7:33, and we are going to go right into unfinished business. We have one item, and that is an offer acceptance. It is for 827 John Liner Road. And Mr. Bullock, this is you.
Thank you. So we've been trying for a few months now to sell the what's known as the fan property on 827 John Liner Road, we have an offer of $476,000, which is $24,000 less than our asking price. At this time, staff and the realtor are recommending that we accept this offer just because of the economy. Interest rates are going up, and it just seems like a reasonable offer we can accept and then get out of the real estate business. Anyway, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But yeah,
Okay, I see you're looking for a
my
motion.
staff are excited about this. If we can get a motion, that'd be great.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Kesty.
Oh, I'd just be willing to make the motion.
I'd be willing to second that.
I'll go with Nora, is that okay? Okay, so we have a motion by Councilwoman Kesty, seconded by Councilwoman Pedersen. Is there any discussion? Yes, go ahead, Councilman Henderson.
Thank you. What is the closing cost going to be out of the offer amount approximately? So what is our ending balance going to be?
Approximately probably 460,000. And just, I guess, another point to make, the city right now has invested $280,000 in the real estate between the two properties, our share of the TIB money and some of the renovations we've had to do. And so we will come out just short of $600,000 total back into the arterial street fund. So that's part of the reason why we're excited about it. But yeah, probably about, the Realtors Commission is 2.5%, and so it's about what it is. When we agreed to accept the offer on the Totino property at $145,000, we got a check for $136. So, yeah, it's about that.
So get about 600 back into the street fund?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool, thanks.
And just to confirm, Councilman Lavaca, did you want to make a comment or just ready to vote?
Oh, I'm ready to vote.
Okay. So motion is to accept the offer for sale of 827 John Liner and authorize the mayor or designee to execute all the documents to close the transaction with any minor updates to documents necessary. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, on to new business. This is a purchase award, wastewater and treatment plant dewatering equipment. Action is requested. And again, Mr. Bullock.
Thank you. So we've been talking a bit about the sewage treatment plant and the problems with the belt press we've been having for probably about a year now. This is a proposal to replace that with a screw press ahead of the upgrade the sewage treatment plant. And so the Public Works Board is basically eligible for pay for our design costs for this project. But right now, the price for the screw press and the construction will come out of basically our sewer reserve fund. And we just basically spend about $800,000 less on construction because we're going to install this now. This is a pretty important installation to go through right now. We basically every spring run the risk of the total suspended solids getting out of control. And our folks at our treatment plant managed to keep them within our permit limits, but nonetheless, this is probably one of the highest risks right now to the treatment plant. And we ran so part of this RFP is they had to demonstrate their equipment at the treatment plant for 2 weeks. We did that. Right now, the belt press gets about 7% to 11% dewatering capability, which is really marginal. This demonstration of their screw press equipment got over 20% for the entire week that it was developing. So, which creates dirt as opposed to mud pies, if you need that. So very excited about it. Ralph is over the moon about it. He's been wanting to do this for the last 15 years, he keeps saying. So basically, these screw presses aren't just off the shelf. They're custom made for each treatment plant. It will be sized to handle 4 MGD, which would be about twice the capacity of a treatment plant handles right now, so that we're anticipating the design level for this screw press. And it takes about 5 to 6 months for them to be manufactured. So what we're doing is we're purchasing it ahead of time, we'll hire the contractor around July or August, so that way we reduce the lead time on getting this installed. And then it's being installed in really the best time of the year when we have the lowest suspended solids going on. So we got a good bid from Huber. They have a good piece of equipment, and that's what we're asking for approval for, to sign the purchase agreement so they can start the manufacturing.
Okay. I do have a quick question regarding, a couple times, especially when I came on as council member, I got to see how the belt works, and you're right, it was like mud pies, pretty mucky.
It's the
So
one place in the treatment plant you don't want to walk and open your mouth.
So my question is, I know that we used to haul that over to Eastern Washington, so, and that was by weight, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So are we still going to haul it over to Eastern Washington, and if so, will this reduce the cost because of?
Yes, ma'am, we will haul to Eastern Washington. We estimate this will reduce our hauling cost by 70%.
Okay, fantastic, all right. Councilman Henderson?
Thank you. Does the $413,000 figure, does that include the installation with the contractor?
No, that doesn't include the installation with the contract. It does include installation support from the manufacturer, but we'll have to hire a contractor to do some modifications to the building because it doesn't really fit in the same place as the belt press does. But then they'll install it for us as far as a millwright to install it as a piece of machinery.
So that'd be a separate.
So that's going to be a separate
Motion
contract,
to
right?
approve that.
That's why we're talking about $800,000.
Okay.
The equipment's about $413.
And then, so from what you said earlier, this is going to be modular to the future operations of that plant?
No, it's not modular. It will be able to handle the total capacity. Its maximum capacity is 4 MGD, and 2 MGD is well within its lower range of its capacity. So its capacity will handle the entire range of our plant now and our future plant.
And then can you remind me of what Fund 401 is in the
It's a
fiscal impact?
Sewer fund.
Okay, thanks.
And Councilman Koch?
Bill, thanks for your great work on this. It's, sounds like it got a little touchy there for a while. And I'm just curious, what does the contractor in Eastern Washington do with this? And are they a reliable contractor for us going forward years ahead kind of thing?
Yeah, there's two main contractors. One's called Choker Farms, the other's Boulder Park. And so Choker Farms is what City of Blaine uses, and they handle liquid streams, okay? And Boulder Park handles solids that has been dewatered. So the City of Blaine doesn't dewater, they thicken. We dewater and deliver solids. And basically, both companies land apply it on Eastern Washington. They have their own NPDES, and they basically they fertilize hay fields. And so they land apply it for growing hay, and then that hay goes to farms all over Washington. And they do thousands of acres of hay. Each company is the solids handler for several jurisdictions in Washington.
I just want to make sure, I don't know, have we lost Councilwoman Pedersen? There she is. I just wanted to make sure that she had.
Here.
I want to make sure if you had a question that I could see you. It was.
I do not have any questions on this. I assume this was in the budget. It looks like it costs less than we expected it to cost, and I say we go ahead and move forward with it.
Is that a motion, Councilman Pedersen?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right. No? No, it hasn't. No?
Well, I'll second that then.
No, are you thinking of the last one? What was Kesty and Pedersen?
Well, it's been seconded.
And, all right, so we have a motion by Councilwoman Pedersen, seconded by Councilman Koch. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, so now we come down to a very exciting time, actually. It's the applicant interviews for Ward 6. And this would be the last item on new business. Kelly, I'm going to turn this over to you because I know you're going to give us some extensive directions. So,
Good evening, Council. So just to give a quick summary, City Council is seeking to fill the vacant Ward 6 position. We had 3 applicants apply within the deadline and include their application, letter of interest, and resume. Those were all, again, attached to the council packet. On the March 11th council meeting, all the applicants were selected to interview. The rest of the process is outlined in this city's council governance handbook. So each interview will be a maximum of 30 minutes. During the interview, each council member and mayor may ask a candidate up to 3 questions, and the follow-up questions are included in those 3 questions. Handbook outlines that candidates will be interviewed in alphabetical order of last name, which also happens to be the order that we received the applications. So just an extra little point on that. The governance handbook also outlines the nomination and voting process. So we've included an excerpt of the handbook in your packet. But just a quick run through of it, that the council will interview each applicant, and then it'll be the nomination process. The nomination is by nomination and a second. Once all of the nominations have been met, the council will vote. And once the new council member has been voted, the mayor will administer the oath of office tonight, and that the new council member may take their seat at the dais, although this is the second to last item on the agenda, other than good of the order. So that is a quick run through of the process outlined in the council governance handbook.
okay. All right. So just as kind of a reminder, we'll have our first candidate come forward, which is Carl DeYoung. Carl, if you'd like to come forward, and want to make sure the light is on the blue light is on. Okay. Welcome, Carl. So again, you'll each have 3 questions, and if you choose to use a follow-up question, that counts as the 3rd question. Something that I had suggested, and we can do it if you like. We don't have to follow it, but each ask the 2 questions, and then you can ask a follow-up question, simply because you might hear something said by somebody else that you may want to have a follow-up question regarding. So if you want to save your follow-up question for the last, that's fine, but it's just a suggestion that I'm making. And so we'll just start, we'll start online, actually. We'll start with Councilwoman Pedersen, and you can ask the first question.
First, I want to say thank you for putting your name forward for this. I really appreciate the community engagement that we've seen around this appointment. So thank you, Carl, for that. My first question is, what do you wish to accomplish during this appointed term as a Sedro-Woolley City Council member?
Well, first off, Mayor and council members and staff, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. And as you know, I served as a council member in Ward 6 from 2018 through 2022. And Mayor Johnson, you did an amazing job outlining so many things that happened in that 4-year period, and to see Olmsted Park come to conclusion in a place where I caught my first fish when I was 5. And what an honor to the Olmsted brothers and their park design. And also to be part of the council that you went through this process to become mayor, and was happy to be part of that. And I hope you recover quickly, Councilmember Pedersen, and I'm imagining the cutout of you right here. So the top priorities, as I stated in my letter, is to focus on the basics to keep the city running well. And that's public safety and core services, making sure delivery is reliable and planning is responsible. And that under financial stewardship, we have clear trade-offs, and that the attention to ongoing costs. And then, of course, infrastructure, staying ahead of maintenance, and so we don't trigger bigger problems if we don't take care of it now. And it's just important, just keeping the process clear so residents understand how decisions are made, and so we can build that trust that we have with our neighbors and the people that we serve.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I do want to say thank you for stepping up to the plate to take this endeavor on. And also thank you for your service to the community. You know, the Sedro-Woolley Rise, the Rotary Club, the Skate Park Challenge, so muchly appreciated. One thing I'm wondering about is, what do you see different on the council? Because you come to a lot of the meetings. Yeah. What do you see different on this council than you saw on the last council you served on? And where do you see that you would maybe be a great accent to what we have on the council? Is that two questions or is it one?
That's kind of two questions.
All right, so let's go with the first question.
Okay. So there's a comparison and contrast of when I served between 2018 and 2022 and this council that's serving right now. Yeah. Well, we don't have COVID right now. So that was quite a stressful time to serve, but also a very rewarding time because we were taking care of the community, we're taking care of people. And that's what I feel is really at the core of what that job is to take care of us. I think also what this kind of asymmetrically or obliquely addresses is how do you deal with people that you might have differences with. And I think that's crucial to a council member. I think of the Walt Whitman quote that Ted Lasso uses. It says, be curious, not judgmental, right? And try to get to yes on the things you can get to yes for. And go about it in a calm manner. Work on the thing in front of you so you can keep moving forward. And I think I'm prepared for that. It's, as the council moves forward, you're looking for someone who's done that before, has handled some personalities. In fact, there's people on this council serving right now that may have campaigned against me in the past, and now we work very, very closely together on community projects. And that, I think, is a testament to the character of the people that serve on this council and a testament to what the values that are embedded in this community, that we want to help neighbors helping neighbors.
Cool. And my next question? Or is it one question each all the way through? Okay.
Councilman Lloyd?
I'd like to pass.
Okay. Councilman Cock?
Oh, thank you. Let me get to my notes. Yeah, thank you, Carl, for your willingness to serve again on the Sedro-Woolley City Council and for your deep community involvement, such as, I think you're a driver for Meals on Wheels, right? Good for you.
If I may, to be clear, my wife does the driving for Meals on Wheels. I've been doing dishes at the senior center for the hot meal service, congregate meals, for about 12 years there.
Good, thank you very much. And for your service with Councilman Loy with the skate challenge.
He's got all the tricks.
Yeah, I just, do you wish to serve on the council because of a particular local issue on which you want to work, or are your interests more broadly distributed?
My interest is to work on the council on a broad spectrum, because that's what the council does. If you're just focused narrow and deeply on one pet issue, a passion project, I think that's a great role for an activist, but the role on the dais there is governance. And so dealing with the dry subjects of land use, of the John Liner property, working on connecting the Jones Road and the Liner Road that Mayor Johnson and I went down to Olympia to talk about in order to work with a diverse group of folks from Eastern Washington and found just a great conversation with the legislative folks in the 40th, going, wow, that would really help my district too, in order to help move the ball. And you have to have broad interests on that and where you can relate with folks in order to move a specific policy point that we have here in Sedro-Woolley. We all want to be helpful. We want to be part of that community that is building that stone soup. And if you're just going around, well, I only enjoy parsnips, that your role will be very short.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I like parsnips, by the way.
Councilwoman Custody?
Okay, let's see. I'll take, what experience, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight?
Well, most of you know me and have worked with me at the community, and I show up. And as we know from Rotary, which remember with multiple folks on this dais, you always say yes, and I take that to heart. I think about growing up, where my family came to this country after surviving an occupation, and where you had to work together as a community in order to eat that week. So that's always in my heart, about food sustainability, the work we did at the Helping Hands Food Bank during the COVID crisis, where so many food pantries collapsed, and we had to take over 15 food pantries around the county. And then being able to use the connections that you have over a lifetime, being able to call up, when I first met him, it was Sergeant Hobbs, and now he's Secretary of State Hobbs, and he's a colonel in our reservists. I said, hey, we're going to need some support here because we're losing our volunteers because they have to stay home so they don't get sick. Is there a way that we can put our local people to work that are reservists in the National Guard in order to support the mission here locally? You'll go abroad to different countries, let's do it right here. And it was a joy to work with him on such a project, and he eventually took over all of Western Washington's food banks in order to make that happen. And even had the opportunity of writing President Trump at the time, because they wanted to cut the National Guard service at 89 days because there's a step fee at 90th day if you're in service. So it goes from talking to the person that you're serving that's having a hard time to all the way up to whatever level you need to get to in order to make that connection happen, and so people can live with dignity.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Henderson?
Are we limited to these exact questions for the first round?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why do you want to serve on the city council?
Well, it's an extension of my community service, really. And I'm applying because I really understand the work, and I can get to work right now, right? I'm ready to step in and get to work. And this position matters because it affects the day-to-day services and how decisions are made. And so my focus is to be useful right away, prepared, steady, and able to contribute without a learning curve. I've done the job before, I respect the role, and I'm ready to carry on my share of the work.
Okay. I'm going to go last because I want to make sure that the council members have a chance to ask a question since they will be serving with whomever. So I'm going to go back to Councilwoman Pedersen. And what is your second question?
Am I okay asking a follow-up question at this stage?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Carl, you've put forward your priorities if appointed. The council has received several public comments related to the applicants that we're interviewing here today, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond to one of them. One letter writer expressed concern that you are too strongly focused on your own agenda and not a consensus builder. How would you respond to that?
Well, thank you for that. I have not seen any public comment except for two letters that were in the packet under other, and I don't recall that being in there. So this is new information for me, and I would love to have a cup of coffee with this person and see this anonymous person to me right now to see what that's where that feeling is and see what we can resolve. Again, I've worked closely with so many people on this dais in the past and right now And like I had mentioned before, there's people that had were opposing me on the election side, that now we work deeply on community issues. And I think it's something that it takes time to get to know someone. And that's what I would try to do.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
All right. So just a little bit of a follow-up myself with, kind of a skill set for this council. You have some training in the AWC.
Yes.
Can you explain a bit of that and what you actually learned from that?
Okay, great. So the AWC, as some of you around me, TLAs are hard, three-letter acronyms. So I usually like to spell those out. So in this sense, I'm taking that as the Association of Washington Cities. And the Association of Washington Cities, I have taken training on open meetings, on the ethics that are involved here. Also, I was a predecessor to Mayor Johnson on the Legislative Committee, so I had great experience with that. As the mayor brought out earlier, just the diversity of opinions and where you can come together from folks, from our smallest town in the state, Krupp, to Seattle, from Walla Walla, another hyphenated city, to here Sedro-Woolley. And really listening to folks' opinions on what would be helpful for their neighborhoods, even from San Juan County, is interesting how we're connected as Washingtonians and also just as people. I think that group, the Legislative Priorities Committee, it's a process, it's a democratic process, and so I thought it was important for us to be represented as Sedro-Woolley on it, because it can be driven by large metropolises, but our unique situation and the lifestyle that we choose to have here in Sedro-Woolley must be represented. And it's good when you can find allies that then can relate and use their experience and their institutional knowledge to then help move the ball with folks that are in big metropolises to say, yeah, that makes sense for those folks. And I use that example specifically with accessory dwelling units, ADUs, which we had a prohibition on in Sedro-Woolley before 2018. And we saw some legislation in Olympia that was going to be cookie cutter, one size fits all. And it was really something punitive toward Seattle. And we were able to get ahead of that with an ordinance here in Sedro-Woolley. It took about 9 months to work with the Planning Commission to make that happen. So you can now have a mother-in-law apartment, you can have an accessory dwelling, detached or attached place. But that really came from having that network at the Association of Washington Cities, being able to bounce ideas off with folks and saying, hey, what's working for you? And how do you deal with this question? Mainly, the two things that came up here in Sedro-Woolley were parking and utility meters.
Thank you. Councilman Lloyd?
If you've been, I know you've been watching all the differences between regional and local answers to problems. How do we solve our local problems with a regional mind?
That's an excellent question. I think there's two fine examples that we're dealing with right now, and that's North Star and BESS. And I support staying at the table on these regional programs so we can keep our vote and deciding then locally what we adopt. And regional coordination can be useful, but it has to work for Sedro-Woolley. And that means clear scope, it means clear funding, and clear accountability before we commit to anything. And participation doesn't mean automatic agreement. It means showing up and making decisions that really fit our community. That's how I view that.
Okay. Councilman Kopp?
Carl, first of all, I appreciated reading your priorities. They were very interesting. But in your application materials, and I've interviewed probably several hundred people, in job situations. I was disappointed there was an absence of details on your employment history, whereas the other two candidates included detailed resumes and listed extensive employment experience by year. You listed your prior council experience and training with the Association of Washington Cities. So I wanted more information, so I Googled you, and a couple of stories came up. One, that you were elected chair of the King County Democrats, so that was an interesting story. It sounds like it was kind of a crazy vote. In your candidate
Sorry, it was a crazy what?
vote.
Crazy vote.
Yeah, because the headline sort of said wild voting for King County Democrat chair. It was in the Seattle Met. I'll find it and share it with you. You might find it interesting.
Please, where's your question?
I'm getting
This is
to it.
getting very disrespectful, in my opinion.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah.
So anyway, my question is, could you provide a little bit more detail of your employment history besides those two?
As I understand it, in this current environment, you tailor-make your application toward the job you're seeking. So yes, I could go on the litany of things of where I worked, how long, and those job titles, and do a CV. But I think I'm trying to put myself in your position of who's best ready to serve right now, with what experience base, and who would you like to work with? And I know that some people would like to work with me, and some people would not like to work with me. But that's the way groups work. I'm about making sure that I'm going to be part of a positive attitude of having good locker room chemistry and getting things moving forward. So I've owned many businesses in my past, small businesses. I've had employees. I've worked throughout this country, and I've lived in different places, and I've seen what's worked and what definitely has not worked in some of those places. And so that's the experience base I bring to the table, and I'm putting down things that are relevant to this job specifically.
Thank you, Carl.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Kesty?
Thank you. I do have a question. It's not for Carl, but I do want to thank you through sitting through this charade. My question is, I've sat through many of these appointments, and we all had a list of questions. We all asked the same questions, and then the next candidate will get those same questions as well. What is going on here tonight? Is this a new thing that I missed from the other appointments, or is this just a new circus? Because I think it's incredibly disrespectful what's going on here. Do we not all ask the same? We each have a question. We ask the one question to the candidate, then the other candidate comes up. We ask the same question to them. What is this?
So why don't we finish this so that Carl doesn't lose his time? Do you have a question? I don't. Okay. Councilman Henderson.
Can I reclaim my time? No.
In your opinion, what is the largest challenge that this council faces upcoming? What is the biggest challenge that this council faces upcoming? And if you could add what you might bring to the table to help.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the senior center. It has to be the seniors. The people, let's just focus on it. We have a moral obligation to our seniors. And within 90 days, there will be a new normal. And when we hear about things of a national company coming in to do food, I think about airplane lunches. I don't think about the hot congregate meal that they're enjoying, the fellowship that people have together there. They look forward. I will say this is my own opinion. I have no credentials in this area, but we have the best soup ever. And it's homemade right there. And that's not going to be there anymore. And it's a place where people come. They expect to see one another. If they don't see someone, there's an immediate check-in. I mean, it's an amazing network. And there's so much to learn there that I've learned as a volunteer for just hearing the stories, going back, decades upon decades upon decades. Asking a 95-year-old person there, what was your first job? And then hearing someone say, well, I worked there too. And both ladies are going, well, do you remember Jake? And then watching sparks fly. you know, those moments can't be replaced by, or them being able to have that interaction again. I have put forward a plan, whether or not it was going to be useful, but I don't think in my value systems, you complain about something and then don't come up with something that you think could move forward with. Whether or not it does or doesn't is okay, but you still want to come up with something to say, I'm not a complainer, I'm a doer, and we want to do things. And maybe this will help spur an idea here that gets riffed on that becomes something else, which is fine. But that's the biggest thing I see is what are we going to do at the senior center and Meals on Wheels. That's the only hot meal some of these folks get. And they have served many a hot meal to their own kids and grandkids, and we have a moral responsibility to them.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have 8 minutes remaining, so I'm going to go back to Councilwoman Pedersen. This will be your third and final question.
I don't have any more questions.
All right. Councilman Lavaca?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I do want to apologize because I think I opened up thinking that the questions were open. And so you can ask the questions that were listed or you can ask a general question. So that would have been my, and sticking with the questions that are on there so we can be consistent. Because the questions I have aren't necessarily listed on here, although they're interesting, but I could have written them in, which we probably could have had them in. But I guess I would say a follow-up, if that's all right, on one of these.
Yes,
guys.
absolutely.
All right, sweet. So on, if I may go into there, just because curiosity, as far as like going to this position to be on this council, there's a lot that are ahead of us, and you listed one that was going to be one of our most severe challenges, and you've brought in a lot of comments to the table on that, they're very appreciative, by the way. As far as like bringing out or looking at the rest of this process through, what do you think would be, in knowing what we know now and what we see tonight, a path forward just in general, although it's one of 7 obviously, so it wouldn't be your path forward, but what do you see for the senior centers that would be really most impactful that we can put forth?
I'd love to keep it the same, and that would be the goal. And I think if we continue to reach for that goal, it will be much better than what's offered now. I understand there's 2 federal grants and there's some state granting that's available. I have had cups of coffee with some policy folks that work for the governor that operate those grants. And those conversations should be opened up to the folks that are, that will be attending those meetings. I too, like Councilmember Pedersen mentioned earlier, was shocked to hear that no one applied to take over that work when the Northwest Regional Council put it out to bid. And now I'm hearing that there's some movement in different ways. I hope it's not movement for movement's sake, but as Councilmember Henderson brought out, that it's moving forward into a line there of getting things done. I really think congregate meals are so important there, and also so many services are available there with helping folks do their taxes. Every Monday there's a group that helps people understand the internet, finding forms to help fill them out so they can cross the barrier of the intimidation of working through a computer versus what they were raised with. We need that center to be active and viable, and we need to find that solution of who's going to run it, if that's a city person or a county person, or if we can find a nonprofit that wants to take all of it, or some sort of shared responsibilities where we bring in the service centers that take a day a week, et cetera. But I think there's great opportunity here to do it in a way that represents Sedro-Woolley's values. And I think the more people that have that input, and we develop a rubric, a matrix of how we want to make that decision, of what's our priorities, and I think we'll get something done that'll be great.
Councilman Loy?
Senior centers are predominantly used by people that need them. And the older people that don't need them don't use them. How can we get more of the people that aren't getting the word that they can find something at senior center for them? How can we help them?
You reminded me of something I heard when I was about 5 here in Sedro-Woolley. It's like there's 3 forms of communication, right? Telephone, television, tell your father. So I think word of mouth is the biggest thing within that community, within that milieu, of folks being able to say, hey, you know, I have this really great soup, you should come by. Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, this would be a good activity for you to come out, and you know, you haven't seen so-and-so in a while, they've been asking about you. I don't think Facebook or social media is going to do it, because you have to reach people where they're at, and there's many ways to do that within that demographic.
Okay. We have about 2.5 minutes left. Councilman Cock?
Carl, what do you think is the most, aside from the senior center, what do you think is the most immediate crisis facing Sedro-Woolley?
Besides potholes?
Yeah.
You know, senior centers it has been declared by this council as the #1 priority. And that's been reaffirmed at 2 subsequent council meetings. To dig further from that, then the comprehensive plan is the guidelines that set the direction of where we're going. And I think with tax bases locally as we see, real estate excise tax is big for Sedro-Woolley, or the REIT. And so there's a lot of folks that say we need to push development this way, and there's folks that want to hold back, but we do have to use our capacity, but still build in a way that is respectful to our way of life here in Sedro-Woolley, and make sure that we don't give away the farm, so to speak, but also are not pricing out people that have lived here for generations. Speaking back to seniors, people have to retire in dignity. They're the ones that endured for those decades, and they should be able to retire in peace.
Thank you, Carl.
You know.
Okay. With 1 minute left, Councilwoman Kesty?
No questions.
Okay, Councilman Henderson?
56 seconds. Anything you'd like to add?
Well, I feel like I'm going to have to be the Federal Express guy here. Well, I am asking for the appointment, and I'm ready to step in and carry the work and be the steady professional member of this council. And you can count on me to be prepared and to work respectfully with each of you, and to help move decisions forward in a way that is clear and dependable. So thank you very much.
All right, Carl, thank you very much.
I'm sorry you weren't able to ask your question.
It's okay. I wanted the council to have those opportunities.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, the next up is Elizabeth Lowe. Do you go by Elizabeth or Ann? You do go by Ann. Okay, my apologies. Okay, Ann.
No problem. It's my middle name. It's caused me a fair amount of difficulty over the years.
So 30 minutes, and we'll just do the same procedure. So,
Okay.
And I will start again with Councilwoman Pedersen.
Okay.
Nora, do you have a question?
Yes, sorry, I was just fiddling with my my mute button and everything. Let's see, what experiences, talents, or skills do you bring to the council and community that you would like to highlight?
Well, I was a teacher in Sedro-Woolley. Oh, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come forward. I was a teacher here for 30 years, and in that experience, I learned a lot of skills that I think would be useful for the council, and that would include things like being able to set goals and work with others to achieve them, planning, evaluating progress, and those kinds of things. I also like to serve if I can. I've always ended up finding myself in a position where I'm helping others if I can find a way to do that. So the learning curve for me on this position would be, it would definitely be there. I don't know, I haven't served in the city, in a city position, so there would be a lot I would need to learn about and would rely on people for help in that area. I don't know if I answered your question.
Oh, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know, I was going to ask you something different, but I want to thank you for your service with the Scouts, by the way. It seems like you spent most of your life dedicated to children, so that is very appreciative. And thanks for stepping up for the service. So I guess the question is, what experience and talents, I know you just alluded that you don't have a lot, but what experience and talents do you have to bring to the council?
Well, I've been in a number of leadership roles as far as volunteer work has, as far as the volunteer work that I've done. I've been president of a couple different organizations, and even with the Scouts, we started a whole new pack for Cub Scouts, and I served as committee chair on that, but also was instrumental in getting the pack established so that we could have, this was up on near Samish Elementary, so we could have a pack that was more local for our community there instead of having to drive into town. So I had a role in seeing what it took to get that accomplished and then continuing it on. I think I've kind of lost track of your question.
Councilman Lloyd?
Oh, good. Thank you.
Well, I kind of wanted to switch up on you. We've been talking about senior citizens. What about kids?
Kids.
What kind of process do you think we should do for kids?
Oh, well, the parks and the ball fields and safe places where kids can play and just have a wonderful time. That I love Sedro-Woolley. I've lived here for 44 years nearly, and I raised my two sons here as a single mother. It was extremely important to have the support of the other community members. I always felt like when I had my children somewhere, it wasn't just my set of eyes looking out for them. It was all of ours. And I want our children to be able to feel that way too, that they're safe wherever they go, and that more people are looking out for them than just a couple. Activities for children, I think we do a really fine job, at least what I know of it, with the sports activities, and I love the fact that we have a couple of parades a year where the kids can just go trick-or-treating downtown and get candy, and the Christmas parade, and it's family-centered, many things for children. So my focus is primarily child-centered, and everything that serves that part is of interest to me.
Okay. Councilman Koch?
First of all, get my thing. thank you for 30 years of teaching our children here in the Sedro-Woolley School District. That's fantastic. And for your many volunteer activities, including the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and as a driver for the food bank. Do you want to serve on the city council because of a particular local issue on which you want to work, or are your interests more broadly distributed?
My interests are broad in range. There isn't one specific thing that I'm interested in so much as trying to maintain and continue the quality of life that we have here. I wasn't born here, I didn't grow up here, but as far as I'm concerned, this is my home. This is where my heart is. And for many, many reasons, I would like to do what I can to help keep Sedro-Woolley the place that I've come to love.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kesty?
Thank you for putting in your application for this. I've seen firsthand your heart at school and working together on craft projects during the holidays. So my question will be, what do you wish to accomplish during this appointment term as a Sedro-Woolley City Council member?
My main reason for putting myself forward for this was that I wanted the people in Ward 6, where I live, to have representation, and to fill this position until the voters in Ward 6 can choose who they want. That's my main purpose for being here, is to fill this spot.
Okay. Councilman Henderson?
Well, you kind of answered the why do you want to serve on the city council, but if you want to touch a little bit more on that, why do you want to serve on the city council?
I'd like to give back. Sedro-Woolley has given me so much. I see this as an opportunity to give back a little bit. Maybe a lot, who knows, but Sedro-Woolley has given me a lot, and I can never repay that, no matter what I do.
Okay. Councilwoman Pedersen?
Yes. I don't think I said this the first time. I was flustered with my mute button, but I wanted to thank you also for putting your name forward for this position. It really shows, I think, all of our applicants, it shows a lot of courage to do that. Looking at your resume, your education and experience are truly impressive, but one thing that I missed while I was reading through all of it, and you didn't mention in the last question I asked, this was in another one of our public comment letters, was that I think you and your husband own a tree farm. And I wanted to hear, I hear a lot from constituents that they love our local small businesses and want to see the city support small business and everything like that. And I wanted to see how that kind of went into your perspective, and how, if appointed, you would apply your perspective as a small business owner to help our city support other small businesses.
Well, I have learned an awful lot about small business. My husband has a cabinet making business that he's had here in town for 30-some years, and we brought that business home in 2007 because we had a place where we could house it. Fortunately, we got just ahead of the housing crisis, and we didn't end up going out of business since we didn't have a lease to pay any longer. I'm very aware of the difficulties that small businesses face. I'm not sure how to support small business other than going to their place of business and supporting them in that way. I'm not sure exactly how to do that, and that would be part of my learning curve from city council, would be how city council does support small business. I'm not sure how that happens. I know that we have learned many ways on how to make our business successful, and we've learned an awful lot about financial responsibility and fiscal responsibility. I guess you could say that I'm a fiscal conservative because I have learned that we can't just spend money willy-nilly and hope everything's going to be fine. You have to look at what you have and be as responsible as possible to hold on to it and manage it. Helping others, I'm not sure what to do there. So there you are.
Councilman Lavaca?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to do a follow-up question on as far as like, do you have a particular issue or broad issues for the wanting to be on the council? And so my question is going to be, when's the last time you attended a council meeting, and what did you learn at that council meeting for Sedro-Woolley?
I have not attended council meetings.
Oh, okay. I guess that's it.
Okay. Councilman Loy?
Pass.
Okay. Councilman Koch?
As a follow-up question, how could your extensive experience in the schools here locally translate over to municipal government and city? Have you thought about that a little bit?
I have. My experience teaching helped me learn how to work with all kinds of different people and to meet them where they were at emotionally, socially, intellectually, physically, and try to work with them to make some forward progress. That was mostly in terms of working with children. However, there were many adults I needed to learn to work with as well. And collaboration was the big thing. If we had a goal we wanted to meet, we didn't all agree on how best to get there, but we learned how to work together to try and get at least closer to that goal. So I feel like that's my strong point, is that I know a lot of people in Sedro-Woolley. I've tried to count up how many students I had probably taught over the years, and I think it was around 2,800 students and a large number of families as well. The day seldom goes by that I don't see someone that I know, usually a former student, and most of the time I have positive relations with people I know. So I think that would help me come to council and be able to work with people here.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kesty?
Pass.
All right. Councilman Henderson?
We'll go with a follow-up then. Earlier, one of your answers to why, it's kind of a two-part question. Two of these questions ask basically why you want to be on the council, and they just make you say it in different ways, probably to trip you up, but you know, that's how interviews go. But one of the answers that you gave was you wanted to hold the position until the voters can decide who they want to be in the position. We do a lot of work, and we do a lot of studying, and we do a lot of reading, so we can make very well-informed decisions on what the city administration and the planning commission and all these other entities do. So if selected, are you willing to put the work in to get yourself up to speed on some very important policy decisions we're having to make in the future?
I would be willing to do that. I read quite a bit. I'm very good at reading, so I can read a lot. I would also ask questions, and part of whether or not I am able to become adept at city council work would depend on all of you to help me. Part of that.
Okay. Councilwoman Pedersen?
I have no further questions.
All right. Councilman Lavaca?
See here. So I'm drawn to that last question, which is there anything else you may wish to add in this discussion?
I think I've said pretty much what I want to say. I'm grateful to Sedro-Woolley, and I would like to help Sedro-Woolley stay the wonderful place that it is.
Okay. Councilman Lloyd?
In a lot of small towns, they don't have money for programs, but you can go around the country and see different things where they've put together things like, you ever seen like somebody that got a school bus and paint all over it, and they bring it to Riverfront Park every Thursday?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to support stuff like that, and what kind of money should a city like Sedro-Woolley spend?
Well, actually, I do have an idea for an outreach kind of thing. And my idea was to partner with the schools for community service projects that classrooms might be able to participate in. I would have an application process, get teachers involved, maybe something as simple as picking up litter somewhere. It would engage students and children in the community. It would give them some ownership of what we have here and make them want to participate, perhaps. I know how it would make them feel special and helpful and important to be doing something to help the city, and it would help the city as well to have these kinds of projects happening with teacher buy-in. And I think we might be surprised at how many people would be interested in doing something like that. With an application process and perhaps a small budget to encourage teachers to think outside the box and, well, hey, we need something like this over here. Maybe their class could do that. I know that when I was teaching, I would have been more than happy to take my class out to pick up litter somewhere.
Okay. Councilman Cock?
Yeah, I want to follow up. That's was a good question and a good answer. How well would that work with teenagers? I know you've taught with the elementary, but you know, they're the ones that often are at loose ends and need something to do if they're not playing sports. How do you get them excited and involved?
Well, I was involved with the Boy Scout troop, and we had a large number of boys achieve their Eagle awards when I was involved with them. And they had Eagle projects, and oftentimes they would need to try and figure out what it was that they could do for their Eagle project. And many times they would come to the city and ask. Some of the by the drains, this is signs that say this is water returning to salmon habitat. If you've seen some of those around, that was an Eagle project. Senior projects. could be perhaps in partnership with the city. I know that seniors are often looking for something to do. Well, maybe they could partner with the city somehow to contribute that way.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Kesty?
I've heard it all. Thank you.
Councilman Henderson?
In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge moving forward that this council's facing, and how would you contribute to that?
This council, I can't speak to difficulties or anything else that you've been facing because I haven't been to meetings. I think what we're facing as a country, not on the national level, but all throughout the country, is trying to not be polarized, not identifying with one side or the other, but trying to come together and work together. And I would guess that that might be a challenge here as it is nearly everywhere else. And trying to bring different minds, different ideas together for the benefit of a common goal. How could I contribute to that? That's my mindset.
Okay. All right. Well, those were the 3 questions that each council member had opportunity to ask of you. I too want to thank you for, putting yourself out there. It's a scary thing to come before a group of people that you don't know, and they ask questions that you don't know about sometimes. And so thank you. Thank you for doing that. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Our third candidate is, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Alicia? Alicia, yeah, beautiful name. Alicia Stout, okay. And, okay, would you prefer we call you Ellie?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right, so Ellie, what we're going to do is 30 minutes. You've kind of seen it, and each council member will have up to 3 questions to ask you, all right? And we'll begin again online with Councilwoman Pedersen.
Hi, thank you. I want to thank all of the candidates, but thank you very much for putting your name forward for this. I know it's a hard thing to do. Can you talk a little bit about why you want to serve on the city council?
Sure. Sorry. Sorry, I'm a very soft-spoken person, and I forget that sometimes, and being nervous doesn't help. So thank you guys for having me up here in this opportunity. And the question was, why do I want to be on the council, correct? Okay, sorry. I don't really have any sort of political agenda other than I saw posts for it, and I kept seeing posts which to me said that nobody was applying. So I figured, why not take a chance and see what happens? That's really the reason.
Okay.
Weird.
Okay. Councilman LaBaca.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what experience and talents and skills do you have to bring to a council as far as a municipal body?
Well, I hold a master's in public administration, which is perfect for this situation. I have a bachelor's in human resources management. I have been president of my husband's prior service military. He just retired a few years ago. So I was president of a few spouses clubs during the 16 years of that. Currently, I serve as the committee chair for PAC 4070 here in Sedro-Woolley, and over the last 2 years, 2023, I was committee chair for both the PAC and the troop. Before that, in all of our stints and moving around, I've always been some sort of leadership within Boy Scouts. I started as a den leader and have worked my way up to committee chair throughout the different entities we've been part of. Personality-wise, that's a different question. I'm very quiet, I'm very reserved. I try to make sure I completely understand everybody and what they're asking, so that way I can give them the best possible answer.
All right, thank you. Councilman Lloyd?
What would you say if I told you that we wanted to raise taxes 10% next year? What would you tell the city council?
That's probably not a good idea, but if that's what has to happen to keep providing for the town, then that's what we have to do. But I think the real question would be, how do we propose that to the public? I can tell you right now that nobody would be happy with that. So how do we get them to support us in a decision of that?
Okay, thank you. Councilman Cock?
Yes. Do you want to serve on the city council because of a particular local issue on which you want to work, or your interests more broadly distributed?
Mine are more broadly. I kind of align with both Carl and Ann, correct? Ann? Yes, Ann, not Elizabeth, Ann. They're very broad. I don't have one particular thing. Maybe as time goes on, I will develop one, but for now, it's just, I don't know what's going on in the city. I don't know. You guys say one of the bigger issues is the senior center, but I've spent the last 2 hours, almost 3 hours here, and it seems the issue is a food, but I'm not sure what caused the issue. And I feel like a lot of the public would feel the same too. They know we're gonna spend money on this, but they don't know why or what led up to it. So I guess communication would be the answer to that.
Okay. Councilwoman Kesty?
Let's see. What do you wish to accomplish during this appointed term as a Sedro-Woolley City Council member?
Right now, I don't know, but I'd say a goal would be better communication between the council and the public and making sure the public is informed of why things happen the way they are. I see a lot of outrage with the public about overuse of spending and things like that, but nobody seems to explain why the expenditures are so high. They don't take into account inflation, or, maybe we have to order this certain product from Florida and it costs $3,000 just to ship it up here, That's the stuff that doesn't seem to resonate with the public, so maybe just talking to them and saying, hey, look, yeah, it's $30,000 for this stop sign, but here's why. Does that fully, oh, you can ask follow-up, sorry.
Okay. Councilman Henderson?
Are there any regional issues or forums in which you have a particular interest or expertise? Examples would be transportation, water supply, human services, water quality, fiscal management, parks and open spaces, etc.
I would say no. Maybe human services, helping with the Boy Scouts, volunteering, stuff like that, but at a regional level, no.
Okay. Councilwoman Pedersen?
Okay, so you mentioned, the difficulty of communicating, reining in public spending and then communicating that to the public. I saw in your application that you have some experience working at UA 26, and I was wondering how that might, as a city, a huge portion of our costs are related to our employees, and the cost of staff are increasing because the cost of living is increasing. And I'm wondering how your experience working with unions would help inform your perspective on collective bargaining for Sedro-Woolley.
So I've only been there, November will be 2 years. So I'm still learning a lot about it. We're going through contract negotiations right now for my first time. So if you'd like, I can come back with a better answer once we're done with that. But I think really it just comes down to how do you explain labor agreements to people who don't understand? When I was going through my bachelor's, that's really where it opened up my eyes of, hey, this is why things are, this is how it works. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that understanding. And I don't think working for the union, it might help, but I think this is all stuff you would learn over time and gain experience in to be able to answer and provide more information, better answers to people as you go along.
All right, thank you. Councilman Lavaca.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to do a little bit of a follow-up question to that. I think Councilwoman Peterson mentioned that you had spoken about reining in the spending. I don't think I heard that necessarily in the answers. So one thing that Councilman Loy pointed or asked was, what would you do with the 10% increase on taxes? So I guess my question is, how many council meetings have you been to, and do you know that you don't have to raise taxes? You don't have to get a stop sign for $30,000. You don't have to communicate this to the public, because on the council you can stop that. You can say, no, we're not doing that. Let's figure out our budget better.
This is actually my first city council meeting,
Oh, okay.
and
That's
I've
good to
learned a lot.
Awesome, awesome. Right on.
But no, I do know that, but then things are voted on. What happens when you get outvoted? How do you explain to your constituents that, hey, I disagreed with this, but here's a logical reason as to why it needs to happen and why I was outvoted?
Okay. Councilman Lloyd?
Pass.
Okay. Councilman Cock?
Yeah, I'm going to get back to, you sort of answered this already, but in your cover letter, you said you're applying out of a morbid curiosity to understand how our city works and to see if the frustrations I hear from my neighbors are justified. What kind of, I'm just curious, what kind of frustrations are you hearing? It's important for us to hear that.
A lot of it comes down to spending and the cost of living. A lot of the people here in this area are considered blue-collar workers. They're labor workers. They're not people making $100,000, $200,000 a year, and the cost of living keeps going up, which means they're not making much. They're not able to spend as much, and they hear things like the schools putting $10,000 to a new football field when other schools don't even have heat in the middle of winter. Does that explain it?
It does, thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Kesty?
Pass.
Okay. Councilman Henderson?
If you don't receive this appointment tonight, is this an office that you're going to register to run for in May and actually campaign and do the work to be on this council, or not?
I would have to talk to my family about that, because that would put them in a public eye position, and I need to make sure they're okay with it first. But I don't see why not. I'd be willing to.
Okay. Councilwoman Pedersen?
I don't have any more questions.
All right, thank you. Councilman Lavaca?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to ask you if there's anything you want to add to your discussion or to your side, if there's anything that you wanted to say.
Not really. If I have questions, I kind of tend to come up with them as they pop into my head, so, because I'm not really sure what to ask until someone says something, and then it's kind of like, oh, hey, I want to ask this particular thing. So really my questions would be, does anybody else have anything I can follow up on? But you guys get questions for that, so.
Thank you.
Councilman Lloyd?
Pass.
Okay. Councilman Cock?
Yes. Do I have this right, that you were in the Air Force for 10 years?
No. It was over 10 years ago. That might have been written wrong. I joined when I was 18 in 2004, and then due to I was military police and was put into a position I was not ready to handle at 18, which involved the choice of having to take somebody's life. And so I got out early because I couldn't pull the trigger on somebody.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate your service.
Thank you. Councilwoman Kesty?
Just thank you for putting your name in the hat.
And Councilman Henderson?
I have no further questions. Thank you for coming down and coming in front of this council. It's probably not a fun place to be sitting down there. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, not an easy process. All right, so the next step if I understand this correctly, is that we go into executive session.
Madam Mayor, would it, and maybe Charlie would know, he's our resident expert, would it be appropriate just to have that discussion out here versus going into executive session? Since it's regarding them and it's regarding the community, and do we have to go into executive session to have a discussion that we're gonna have?
Yeah, so we have Dan on the line. Dan?
Yeah, we can absolutely have that discussion in the open. There's no reason we have to recess to executive session. It is in your handbook, so it would be up to the council if you want to suspend that portion of the rules. And so we would need a motion, a second, and a vote.
All right. Going into executive session you're talking about? Or are you talking about the discussion?
No, I'm sorry. Let me be a little bit more clear. If we wanted to suspend the portion of the procedure we've been following thus far that's in the rule book, so that we're doing this in the open rather than the executive session, I would just recommend that a council member make a motion to do that, and then we get a second and a vote just to deviate from the rules established by a previous council.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. So there's a motion made by Councilwoman Pedersen, seconded by Councilman Lavaca, to suspend the rule within the handbook, the council handbook, governance handbook, to go into executive session. We will suspend going in to have executive session, and instead do the conversation, the discussion out in the open. All right, that was pretty wordy. Probably was a lot more words than what needed to be said. But
Very good, though.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any oppositions? Okay, so motion passes. So who would like to begin the discussion?
Madam Mayor, I don't mind starting the discussion. I think it's an interesting discussion to have, and it's, obviously, I think we've all expressed it. It's really great to have such wonderful people from the community step up and to do that. So that's great, and I hope, and it would be not something that I think I would want to do, or I think any of the council would want to do, but they would speak for themselves, but not to offend anybody, because obviously we can only bring one person on the council, and there's a lot of great people that have done it, the 3 people. So it's by no means to offend anybody in any way. In going through the 3 of these, we have a lot of changes that are taking place right now. We're obviously going through a different mayor, so if that wasn't the case, I think it would broaden my search parameters. We also have, fairly new council members. I think Joellen, Councilman Kesty, she's been on for a while, and then Councilman Loy has a lot of experience he brings to the table. I obviously have been on the council, I think, but it's still like a relatively new council. So not having experience and not coming to the meetings impacts me. And I'll just put that out there right now. And it's not to say that people don't have the skill set. I didn't have the skill set. But I did look into the meetings. I did a pretty extensive amount of research before I decided to step in the council, because there's so much involved with the municipal code, with land use, with planning commissions. It would be easier if we weren't also replacing the mayor. And that's just my personal opinion. So something to think about. I think HR is an amazing talent to have within the council, and the ability to negotiate. It didn't seem like that was like a super strong area at this point, but it could be something that grows. And then obviously the love of children and the knowledge of the community for as long, over 30 years in the school system. Think about how impactful that is to be able to go and ask, which is your opinion on this? And also being the one to teach them. So I think that's great. I just think that we're in a position, in my personal opinion, to need some experience.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'll restate the same thing I've said before. I appreciate Carl applying, but the voters in that ward rejected him in the last 2 elections. And I believe either of the other 2 candidates are more qualified to represent that ward. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Other comments, discussion? Councilwoman Kesty?
I very much agree with Nick and the perspective. I feel that same way too. I very much appreciate everybody who came out here, but it's, for me, the being able to jump in, know exactly what you're doing, and there's one candidate that very much knows that.
Councilman Henderson?
Yep, I agree. Councilman Lavaca, Councilwoman Kesty, I agree. From the very beginning, I wanted us to have a lot of experience on this council moving into passing of a comp plan. This is something we've all been working on for a very long time, and we would be, I believe we would be remiss to bring in somebody who is not up to speed on things and either muddy the waters or slow the process down of us narrowing down getting this plan done. This is something that we have to do. We're already dangerously teetering past our time to complete it. I know that we got extended by the state, but that's besides the point. We need somebody up to speed with the challenges and issues that the city is currently facing, which are grave and they're serious. Experience does matter when we have so much to work on in front of us. I do appreciate everyone who came in tonight to interview for this position. I love your Christmas tree farm. I go there every year, you know, and Elisa, I really appreciate you coming in, and it takes courage to come in front of a council. It also takes courage to run for office, and it does take courage to get beat and get up and try again. So, you know, with that being said, that's the direction I feel that we need to move towards, and that's the direction that I'm going to move towards.
Councilwoman Pedersen?
Yeah, so Alan is talking about the courage it takes to get beat and then run again. Carl has done that, and then he lost the second election. The technical components of this role can be learned, but we are selecting someone here to represent Ward 6, and only one of the candidates tonight the voters have told us that they do not want him representing them. So I would be in favor of either of the other two candidates. Anne seems to have a great amount of education and experience. I'm really impressed by her depth of connection with our community here in Sedro-Woolley, and I think she'd be a great choice.
All right. Councilman Lloyd, would you like to?
I knew you'd get to me. All three people are very nice people and love to go out and have coffee with you. Basically what it comes down to is both what Nick and Alan have mentioned is we've got so much stuff to do between now and 3 or 4 months. It's pretty tough when you haven't been involved with it and have to start from scratch. But each one of you, I believe, has the ability to do it. It just takes time. So that would be my suggestion would be, right now we need the experience. But I'm sure you're great people, and come back, please.
Madam Mayor. I just want to go back a little bit to what Councilman Koch and what Councilman Pedersen was saying. And this isn't to put Councilman Loy on the spot at all, but I actually beat him in the election. And so, and he was the incumbent. I know. I turned around and he came and he had coffee with me, and we had a really good discussion. And then he did the skate park thing. He tried to get me to go with it. It was difficult working with the city and getting with the liaison for our committee to really step up and do stuff. It just wasn't the proctor at the time, but he met with me and we had a great time. And then when he decided to run, I went out there and I campaigned for him. I held signs for him, and I went to town for him because he's a really great guy. Yeah, it's easy to say that. And you have done so much service. So I wouldn't count somebody out just by not winning an election, right? I would say that is voters talking, but I also know firsthand when I ran, there was a Ward 6 campaign as well as the at-large. And so Councilman Burns was running against Councilman DeYoung. And a lot of the people that leaned to the right were backing up Councilman Burns. And then during this last election, they pulled back from that and were focusing on Councilman, or not Councilman, but Carl DeYoung. So in that, it just shows that people get to know each other. Let's sit down, let's have coffee, let's have discussions and not count somebody out just because they put their name in the hat. Somebody's got to lose. So I do know that for sure. As far as the candidates that came in, I was hopeful to see 3 really vibrant candidates to come in that had a lot of experience. Councilman, or I wanted to see people that came to the council meetings and that knew a little bit more about the council meetings. And I don't know how we can actually say that in this meeting, that there was any previous knowledge to what we do. The senior center has been talked about quite extensively. The community, the county, the senior center, the council has talked about it many a time. So it's not new information to a lot of those who directly are impacted of that. So that's information that I would really like to see just in advance of coming to an appointment, to say, okay, we're prepared with these questions, we've got these in advance, we're going to study up on these. The resumes that came in were wonderful. They were amazing. And I did note that I didn't see that resume either. One thing I did note was that there was a lot of city focused within the letter that came back that wasn't with the other ones. So I do think that it's an important time, and I do love the city of Sedro-Woolley, and I do think that we just need to try and get them through this next few months and year with somebody, and then at that time go back to the voting docket and see, But ultimately, we do represent 13,500 people almost in this diocese. And so it is a great honor to do that, and that's all I got to say.
So I have to say, I've sat on this council longer than anybody else, and there hasn't been a time that it hasn't been critical that there are not issues that need to be covered and known and to be educated on. And what I did hear from both Ann and from Ellie is that they want to learn. They both stated that what they wanted was for the council, but also they have access to the directors as well to learn, to be brought up to speed. I can tell you that when I came on, I was also very naive, but it didn't take me long with meeting through other people and really sitting in on council meetings to pick up and learn what needs to be done. So I believe that is very, very possible, and I don't think, in my opinion, that 2 people should be eliminated just because maybe they are not familiar with all the issues, because once you get on this council, you will be drowning in these issues because you will be reading about everything regarding this. So I would like to think that there could be consideration given to them on other bases, not eliminated simply because maybe they are perceived to be not educated in our issues.
No, it's not to just bring them out because they're not educated on the issues, by no means. It's that this is an appointment meeting, and this has been in there for quite some time, and it didn't sound like there was one issue that they were coming to the council with, or one meeting that they had visited. So it's not just like that it's not up fully to speed. I had to learn a lot, but I still I learned through the council meetings and the packets, reading them before I did that. So that's my only thing. If I'm going for a job interview, which I had to do door knocking all the time, as people know, it's kind of frustrating and whatnot. But you're advertising, you're putting your resume out door after door, and so you have to know some of the topics. You have to come some prepared, and that's where I wanted to really hear him out from the last meeting, and I said, yeah, I want to hear him. I want to hear Carl. I want to hear Ann. I want to hear Lee, and I want to see what they're bringing to the table because I'm excited about it. You guys have a lot of. I would advise coming to the council meetings, reading through the packets, running for the office. That being on the board or a council is only one part. Running, as you know, is a whole nother part. It's like two totally different jobs. So I would definitely love to meet with you guys, support you on that, bring you, even up to that, and maybe see that growth and take charge here on the council one day. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Carl DeYoung.
I will second that.
Do you mean a nomination?
I think we have to nominate and
Oh,
vote.
then I'll make the nomination to appoint Carl DeYoung.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilwoman Kesty, seconded by Councilman Henderson, nominating to put Carl's name forward to fill the Ward 6 vacancy. Any more discussion?
Can I make another nomination, or you can only make one?
No. Well,
Nominations only need a nomination and a second.
I'd like to nominate Ann Lau to be for this position.
I'll second.
okay. And we have a nomination for Ann Lau, brought forth by Councilman Koch, nominated by Councilman Koch, and seconded by Councilwoman Pedersen. Any others? Okay. So, moving with the first nomination, Carl. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Okay. So, we have, I have to count. Yeah, thank you. Did I mention I've been up since 2? 4-2. And we will go ahead and put Ann's name forward as well. All in favor of Ann, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, and opposed.
No.
Opposed.
Are you opposed? Would you vote?
I'm sorry,
Ann, are you?
I'm opposed to Ann.
Okay, and that's 2-4. So Carl, congratulations. You are the new Ward 6 council member. Do you want to have a conversation back there first before we swear you in? Both Ann and Ellie, thank you so much for coming in, putting your names in, coming before the council. Greatly appreciate you doing that. And it's always good to hear from those people who live not only within the ward, but also our citizens. So thank you very much for doing that. Yeah. Carl, quick question. So, I didn't know, yeah. So remember
She asked me, I was already on to the next subject.
Yeah. All right. I'll put it right there. How does that sound? Okay.
Perfect.
All right. I, Carl DeYoung,
I, Carl DeYoung,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and laws of the State of Washington
and the laws of the State of Washington
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
the
duties of the office of council member
the duties of the office of council member
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
for the city of Sedro-Woolley,
Skagit County, Washington,
Skagit County, Washington,
according to law,
according to law,
to the best of my ability and understanding.
to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, we're not, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. good pen, so we can sign.
Pen? Is black ink satisfactory? Cool. I know, so it doesn't look like a photocopy. There we go. Oh, there you go.
So ladies and gentlemen, I give you your new Ward 6 council member, Carl Dion. Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right.
Did you want to?
Oh, yeah, why not? Congratulations, Carl. Thanks. This is you.
You're okay. You're okay.
Down that way.
All right, so we have come down to the last item of the evening, and that is the good of the order. I'll hear first from the council members. Is there anybody for the good of the order?
Madam Mayor, you had put something on the discussion topic to follow up on. I think just like the committee meetings, and that was what it was earlier tonight, and I wanted to make sure we capture that and get that on there. Charlie, do you remember what that was?
I have a list of
Okay.
everything.
So we
of
will
what
follow
that was
up on
said.
that.
We will follow up on it.
All right. Sometimes there's those committee discussions that we end up having kind of.
Yeah, we're
All right.
keeping a list.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
No, this way, over here, Bill Bullock. So, something else to tell the council about is that the Jones-John Liner undercrossing bridge is being installed by BNSF starting April 9th through the 14th. So we've actually got past that finish line so far, which means that we will be full steam ahead to start construction of that road in 2027.
And also, was it you who mentioned that SR9 and SR20 are finally open?
Yes, and SR9,
Yes.
yeah, and SR9 and SR20 are finally open, yes.
So I have several things, as this is my last meeting. And first off, I want to thank the citizens so much for this opportunity to serve. I'm very grateful for this, and it's been a chance to really grow. And gosh, as Senator Wagner said, until you're actually in these positions, you really do not know what they are all about or what they entail. And yeah, so it's a unique experience, but it was also a good experience. And I want to thank all the councils that I have sat and worked with. Thank you, each and every one of you, for putting your name out there and running and coming before council and having those good debates. I greatly appreciate it. I want to make note to whoever comes in, whoever is the mayor that comes in behind me, that I have put into place coverage for the boards within the county that require the elected official. It's usually the mayor who does it, but I do know what it's like when you come in. It's like drinking from a fire hose, as they say. So I do have coverage for the boards. We have Councilman Putterson, who will be covering the Skagit Council of Government for both the Board of Directors as well as the transportation. We have Councilman Paul Cock, who will cover the Skagit Transit for City of Sedro-Woolley. He already sits on that board, but he is going to take a more active role, a more sophisticated role on that board. I want to thank Chief Wagner, and who will be sitting on Skagit 911, and Chief McElraith, who will be backing him up. Also, Nicole McGowan will lead the Arts Commission. She's already taken over that role, and they are doing great. They have plans in place that you're going to be hearing about very soon. I also want to thank Charlie, who has taken on the Senior Center. We've been going to those meetings together. It's really great to know that we've heard the same thing. We've had great discussions regarding it. We've actually had some really great discussions and really brainstormed together. In fact, some of them I heard tonight. I heard somebody bring them up, and I thought, yeah, we walked down that road already. So it's good to hear that the council's thinking along the same line. So thank you very much for that, Charlie, that you're willing to do that. Yeah. Also, I want to talk about the North Star. So we do have North Star coverage, which is absolutely amazing. Councilman Paul Koch will continue on the North Star Steering Committee, while Councilwoman Nora Pedersen and Planning Director Nicole McGowan will participate in the Housing Steering Committee. So Sedro-Woolley will still have a voice there, and we'll still hear about all the good things that's happening there. And I have to say, Councilman, I can call you Councilman now, Councilman DeYoung, that it's really great to hear that you support that as well, that having a voice at the table is important for our citizens, very important, so thank you. As you heard, this is my last meeting, so thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Nick Lavaca, for covering next week. And I'll get together with you if you'd like, and we can kind of talk about it. Any questions that you may have, I'd be happy to answer those for you. And maybe even any guidance. Okay. And then the last thing that I'd like to say is that as you consider a mayor, and I don't know if you're going to go out for it or if you're going to do it within the board, but I have given this a lot of thought, and I strongly believe that at this point, Paul Koch would be a great choice for mayor. We've had conversation. I asked him to put into writing this is snippets of his bio. So he has served on the Skagit boards, which you heard, on the North Star. He also is on the Hub, building Swift Center for Northern State, the fundraising. Both he and I and Councilwoman Kestiger are on that. He has served on the Sedro-Woolley Planning Commission, which is a great background, really a great background for a mayor to have. He's a longtime resident of Sedro-Woolley with his wife, Diane. They raised 5 children, and they now have 3 grandchildren here in town. He's earned a bachelor's degree in history from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. He has studied graduate-level journalism at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, very impressive. He was a daily and weekly newspaper reporter and editor for many years. He's won numerous journalism awards. Part of a news team that he was a part of was finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. Paul retired after 18 years as Director of Communications at Western Washington University. In the role, he coordinated communications across the entire university. And he was also a co-owner and vice president of a private business that supports people with disabilities. He has also served 10 years as a volunteer basketball coach in Sedro-Woolley, as well as the YMCA and the Swish basketball. Paul and I have had lots of conversations. Doesn't mean we always agree on everything, but we can have that discourse, which is just wonderful. There's a real level of higher thinking here that I think would be great. He's somebody who's very collaborative. He's a very compassionate man, and I think Sedro-Woolley would really benefit under his leadership and tutelage. So I have the right to do that, to say that, and I usually keep my own opinion to myself, but I am much, much in love with my community, and I care deeply about my community. So with that,
Julia,
thank you, everybody. Yes?
May I have just a moment to say thank you?
You bet. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm honored to be appointed to Ward 6 and to serve. And thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Council, and to the residents, and especially to my wife, Ellen, and to our family that encouraged me to step forward. I'm always going to be accessible. I do my homework and I show my work, and we're looking forward to some clear explanations that was brought out earlier about communication. It's drastically important. We need timely follow-through and practical solutions. So Sedro-Woolley works best when we keep what we love and fix what needs fixing, and I know we're all ready to get to work. Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned.